اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. O Allah, we seek refuge with you from knowledge that does not benefit, a heart that does not humble itself, a soul that is never satisfied, and a supplication that is not heard. O Allah, we acknowledge the immense virtue of those venerable ones who dedicated their pens and their souls to the service of your religion. Ya Allah, wahai Zat yang mengajar manusia apa yang tidak diketahuinya, dan wahai Zat yang mengangkat darjat para ulama melebihi darjat orang-orang beriman, kami memohon kepadamu dengan namamu yang indah dan sifat-sifatmu yang tertinggi, agar engkau memberkati untuk kami khazanah-khazanah ilmu yang ditinggalkan oleh para pendahulu kami yang soleh. Ya Allah, sesungguhnya kami mengakui keutamaan yang besar daripada mereka yang mulia itu, yang mengorbankan pena dan jiwa mereka untuk berkhidmat kepada agamamu. Mereka menulis, mencatat, menghurai dan menyelesaikan pelbagai urusan ummah dan mencurahkan urusan mereka dan mencurahkan usaha mereka dalam menyebarkan ilmu dan memelihara syariatmu. Rahmatilah mereka di sisimu, serta buat kami yang menjaga dan memikul amanah ilmu yang mereka tinggalkan agar ianya dapat dimanfaatkan demi mendapat ridhamu. Allahumma inna na'udzubika min ilmin la yanfa' wa qalbin la yakhsha' wa nafsin la tashba' wa du'a'in la yusma' waj'al ma khattat aqlamul ulama rahmatan lil alamin wa syafa'atan lahum yawmaddin. Rabbana zidna ilma wa fahma wa hikmah warhamna birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Allahumma ij'al jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل فينا شقيا ولا محروما. اللهم تقبل منا وأحسن عاقبتنا في الأمور كلها وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة يا رب العالمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin, Amin, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Thank you, Mr. Johari, for leading us in the recitation of the Dua. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my great honor to invite Madam Nur Hashimah Mustafa, the Chief Librarian of Dar Al-Hikmah Library, to deliver the opening remarks. May I respectfully invite Madam Nur Hashimah to deliver your remarks.
Thank you, Madam Siti Azizah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning. Distinguished speakers, honored guests, respected scholars, colleagues, students, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure on behalf of Dar Al-Hikmah Library to warmly welcome all of you to today's manuscript lecture and special exhibition entitled From Istanbul to the Malay World, Early Printing Traditions and Malay Manuscript Heritage. First of all, I would like to mention that the library is deeply honored by the support of our rector, who's continuously supporting us for the knowledge, scholarship, and the preservation of Islamic intellectual heritage. It has greatly inspired the IIUM community. Unfortunately, he could not be with us today, but somehow the spirit of his Islamic heritage continues with us. We are also delighted to welcome our speakers from IIUM ISTAC, our guests from Leiden University, as well as representatives from Khazanah Fatania and the National Library of Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, at IIUM, knowledge is understood within the framework of Tawhidic epistemology that all knowledge ultimately comes from Allah and should lead humanity towards truth, wisdom, and the betterment of civilization. The manuscript tradition of the Muslim world reflects this understanding. A manuscript is not merely an old document. It represents a chain of knowledge connecting scholars, researchers, teachers, and students across generations. It carries the intellectual efforts, ideas, and contributions of those who dedicated their lives to the pursuit of knowledge. As libraries, our responsibility goes beyond preserving books. We serve as guardian of intellectual heritage, ensuring that these valuable resources remain accessible for research, learning, and future generations. So today's program highlights an important chapter in the history of Islamic civilization, the relationship between manuscript culture and the development of printing. The establishment of the Ibrahim Mutafarrika Press in 18th century Istanbul marked a significant moment in the dissemination of knowledge in the Muslim world. So printing did not replace manuscripts. It complemented the manuscript traditions by allowing knowledge to reach wider communities. We are also honored to welcome Dr. Suryadi from Leiden University, who will share his insights on Malay manuscripts preserved in Leiden. Many of us are eager to hear the fascinating journey of how Malay manuscripts traveled across the seas, reached Leiden, and became part of a wider European scholarly tradition. Complementing today's lectures, we are pleased to present a special exhibition you can visit after this session from 27 to 31st July. This is jointly organized by Syed Muhammad Naqib Al-Atas Library, Khazanah Fatania, and the National Library of Malaysia. So this exhibition brings together manuscript and early printed books, showing the continuity of Islamic intellectual tradition from handwritten work produced by scholars to printed publication that expanded access to knowledge. So the Syed Muhammad Naqib Al-Atas Library will showcase selected Malay manuscripts from our special collections, including Al-Quran Malay Origin 18th Century Ibrahim Mutafarrika Collection, which is the first printed work from Muslim world origin from Istanbul, and some other manuscripts. While Khazanah Fatania presents important rare Jawi publications, and the National Library contribute selected manuscripts such as Hikayat Hang Tuah that reflect Malaysia's rich documentary heritage. So together, these collections tell one story, the journey of knowledge, how it was written, preserved, transmitted, and inherited by us today. This program also reflects the IIUM's commitment to preserve intellectual heritage and encourage meaningful engagement with our scholarly traditions. Heritage preservation is not only about remembering the past, but it is also on how we prepare for the future. I sincerely hope that today's program will inspire further research, strengthen collaboration among institutions, and encourage our younger generation to appreciate the valuable manuscripts and printed works that represent the intellectual achievements of the Muslim and Malay world. Before I conclude, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to our organizing committee, collaborating institutions, speakers, librarians, technical team, volunteers, and everyone who has contributed to making this program a success. I hope that we will have the risky to organize a more bigger session like this in future, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this gathering, grant us knowledge, and allow us to continue serving the ummah through scholarship, preservation, and education. And with that, I welcome all of you once again and wish everyone a fruitful and inspiring program. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Madam, for your opening remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now proceed to the scholarly lecture session. Today's session will be moderated by Professor Ahmad Murad American, a professor at IIUM, whose expertise lies in the social and intellectual history of Islamic and Malay civilization. Without further delay, may I respectfully invite our moderator, Professor Ahmad Murad American, to moderate the session. Prof, the floor is yours.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Madam Nur Hashimah, Professor Hafiz, Dr. Wan Ali, my colleague at ISTEC, esteemed speakers, friends and colleagues. I'm asked to moderate the session, inviting the three speakers that we have invited. The topic is on the manuscripts and printing. The subjects are important. Manuscript is one subject, printing is another subject, but they are related. And this subject is significant to all those who study the social sciences and humanities, not only for librarians. I noticed that there are many librarians here. Along the way, I also have invited many from outside those from library science and related fields, from history, from sociology, from technology studies, history of science. Because when we talk about manuscripts and printing, a number of artifacts are involved. One of which is the material of paper, which is important in the writing of manuscript. And then you have the ink, which is also important in terms of putting the messages in the manuscript. And we have print, the technology of printing. Many of us, since we have been exposed to the subject, may think that the technology of printing came to the Malay archipelago in the 17 or 1800s. But actually print or the printing press came or arrived in the Malay archipelago in the 1500s, 1521 and 1603. And it came from Spain. So you have this Spaniard dimension in terms of the history of print in the Malay archipelago. And the printing machine or the printing press was transported from Spain across the Atlantic to Acapulco, and from Acapulco to Manila. That was the beginning of print. That was the beginning of print culture. Early on, the Bible was printed, and it was printed in Babain, a language, an Austronesian language, which is related to Malay that we call now. And then also associated with printing, the Dutch, which was earlier, which will be delivered by Dr. Suryadi, and then later came the British. There are two things which I want to highlight here in terms of when we talk about print and manuscript. Manuscript conjures the idea of orality. Why manuscripts are written, they are not meant to be read generally, but they are meant to be heard. Dengar. Okay? They are meant to be heard. The idea of lisan and kelisanan in the Malay archipelago, in Malay civilization, is important. And now, when we talk about preserving Malay manuscripts, especially the various hikayats, the various types of hikayats, we establish that through the publication of books. In other words, when we establish and we print manuscripts into books, it requires a change in mindset, which moves us away from orality to reading, which may not necessarily be progressive, because the hikayat and the manuscripts are not meant to be read like what we read a book. They are meant to be read and heard. So this is why we should preserve also the element of orality and orality. O-R-A-L-I-T-Y and A-U-R-A-L-I-T-Y. If not, all the hikayat and all the manuscripts in terms of its message will be gone. It is not meant to be read. But when printing comes to the picture, the conditioning of reading is lost. Therefore, the conditioning of hearing is lost. Therefore, we read. And when we read, our mind becomes different. There is a cognitive change from orality to reading. So this is the important element in terms of, when we think of reading, it did not necessarily mean that that is the final way of acquiring knowledge. Knowledge is acquired also through listening. So that's one dimension, I think, that I need to remind. Second is, since Prof. Hafiz is here, I was thinking of the print culture, the transition between manuscript to print. And not many people study that transition in space and time. One is the phenomenon of the early writers, Abdullah Munshi, Siami, and Ahmad Rizhaluddin Nungkandu, who wrote about Perintah ke Negara Benggala. But the other one, a bit later, is the phenomenon of Pulau Penyengat, the establishment of the Rushdiah Club, in which print, the print culture that they had then was inherited by us now. The idea of printed books, the idea of the matbah, printing presses, Ahmadiyah tradition, and then lepas tu Syed Sheikh Al-Hadi brought it to Singapore, and when Al-Imam collapsed, he brought it to Pulau Pinang until he died, until the end of the Jelutong press. Siapa from Penang here would know Jelutong. Jelutong press is a very famous press, and Jelutong press is the embodiment of the height of I would say, Malay printing culture before World War II. It existed for about 20 years. Syed Sheikh Al-Hadi is a master of print in terms of he knows the function of print. Similarly with Abdullah Munshi. It's not just, to us, printing is just printing on the paper. No, it's not that. It is a whole culture that develops a way of looking at things, and Rushdiah Club in the Pulau Penyengat knows that very well. With regard to the how manuscript culture evolved and turned into print, and that created a new Malay literacy. Although when I talk about literacy, it's not just again reading. Literacy is also hearing. So with that in mind, we begin the session this morning. We have three different papers, different aspects of manuscripts and print from three different speakers. We have invited, I have to mention somebody from Jauh, Dr. Surya Suryadi, someone who I've known for, I think, 30 years. I think when I met him, he was talking about Pariaman and Mas Kawin di Pariaman, which is different from us. So Dr. Suryadi is from Leiden, the beacon of Malay scholarship in Leiden, and he is, a way in which we outsource our knowledge. His accessibility to the library in Leiden is very useful and valuable for us. The title of his paper is Malay Manuscripts and Early Printed Books in Leiden University Library, Provenance and Research. He'll be the first speaker. The second speaker would be my colleague in ISTEC, Professor Dr. Mohammed Ozay, who gives a different orientation, one of which is the Ottoman intellectual resurgence. Title is A New Era in Ottoman Intellectual and Civilizational Dimensions, Ibrahim Mutafarrika collection. And this collection is in the ISTEC Library in the 1700s, I think, where it was a bit earlier than the use of print by Abdullah Munshi, 1820s, 1830s. And the third speaker is Puan Wan Jumanatun Nailah binti Wan Muhammad Syahir, The topic is From Manuscript to Print, three generations of Malay Islamic scholarship insights from the Khazanah Fataniyah. This is another dimension with regard to the preservation, with regard to the curation of manuscripts. Now, many people think that we in Malaysia must demand the return of all manuscripts that are owned by us from all over the world. Not necessarily so. There are many manuscripts that are returned. I was involved in one episode in which I was asked whether the collection of light letters in SOAS are to be bought, whether I'm interested to buy or whether I want to ask the Malaysian government to buy the 1,200 pieces of light letters of Francis Light in SOAS. I said, no, you keep it. I just want the digitized version. So I managed to get SOAS to digitize 1,200 letters, and I gave it to USM. At the time I was in USM, I convened the MOA, and it's now at the USM library. Why that is so is because we treat the West as our repository. They are our climate control room. They preserve, they curate the manuscript, so the physical part they can keep. But the digitized part for easy access, we keep it. We get the rights. In fact, the process of getting the rights of the letters from SOAS to here took 7 years of negotiation, because they used 3 or 4 copyright conventions. At last, in 2016, they said, oh, since the letters are written in the Malay world, in your area, we suppose that it belongs to you. You have the right. So based on that reasoning that SOAS gave, they made another version of the manuscript, and they gave it to us. Because of that, when we use the UNESCO framework, when we use UK framework, it doesn't gel. The reason is, the final reason is because they said we own the letters. So that's why they give the rights to us. Even that, the rights are renewable once in 2 years. Orang putih ni pun kadang-kadang dia tak certain juga. Mula-mula they give whole lifetime, forever. Lepas tu they came back and said, no, we're going with 10 years. After that, they came back, okay, 2 years. So now it's 2 years, renewable by USM since 2017. Anyway, so we're going to start with the first paper by Dr. Suryadi. And Dr. Suryadi is, you should read Dr. Suryadi's book, Minangkabau Audibility and Orality, looking at exactly how oral culture and manuscript, mainly oral culture, transition from the local context to the modern context in terms of new technologies. It's one of the finest works I've read with regard to the local situation. I made a long review of the work, and I identified the work as one of the main sources in terms of Malay media studies with regard to how recording technology and then until cassette technology created a new dimension of culture. So it shifted from pantun, petitih dan sebagainya to what we consume now. Dr. Suryadi has a PhD in media cultural studies, focusing on regional recording industry and local identity in West Sumatra. Exactly, that's the book. Master of Arts in Classical Malay Literature and Bachelor of Arts in the Department of Regional Language and Literature, Faculty of Arts, Andalas University. He is now a lecturer in Indonesian Studies at Leiden University Institute for Area Studies, Department of South and Southeast Asian Studies, Faculty of Humanities, Leiden University, the Netherlands. Dr. Sulaiman, pass it to you.
Let not change the ya saya kirim yang out of date ya. Boleh lihat ini. Maaf. Yang ini perlu di copy ke screen atau tak? Ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To International University, Islamic University Malaysia, thank you very much for inviting me to speak in front of academicians and librarians here. As Prof. Murad already mentioned, I will share with you this morning about the collection of Malay manuscripts and only print material. I tend to change from book to materials because wider with you this morning. Sorry, I sent the out of date. This one, yeah, okay. So this is the new one. So, can I see? No, this is still the old one. Yeah. Yeah, this one. Oh, already. Yes. Atau buka saja di sana boleh? Ya, buka saja. Ya, itu ya. Okay, how to do this? How to do share screen. Yeah. Share screen first. Design. Yeah. Share. Yeah. Sorry. Can someone help me? Okay, now, yeah. I'm technological shock, Prof. Murad. Okay, so how to move it? Yes. The scope of my presentation about as I mentioned, about the Malay manuscript collection in Leiden University Library and the early Malay printed material, preserved in this library. And then I will talk a little bit about its provenance and research about that. I hope I can make a concluding remarks about my talk. Okay, so I think some people here already know the huge collection of literacy library here that very important for study about this region, so this Asia in general. We call UBL, literacy library, have more than 5,000, 500,000 volumes, yeah, 1 million electronic books, 70,000 electronic journals, 2,000 current paper journals, and etc. As you can see here. So this is one of the most important library in the world, I think, especially deals with our region, deals with Indonesia, Malaysia, and Southeast Asia in general. That's make this library is almost every day is visited by foreign scholars, including my best friend, my many friends from in Malaysia. The last visitor was, I think, a couple months ago. Our Her Majesty Queen of Pahang visited the library under instruction of Prof. Murad, I think, to consult with me or to search some material deal with her thesis in our university, in this university. So I want to talk a little bit about the foundation of this university, founded in 1575, so almost 500 years ago. The university, Leiden University, was established by the King of the Prince of Netherlands, Van Oranje, thanks to their successful of Leiden people to defend their land from the Spaniard occupation. But this with our collection there, the university library then tried to establish the study deal with Islam and the former of with the colonized country, including the Malay world and Nusantara in general. So since the beginning, the Leiden University very interested in studying of Arabic, of Islam, but then expand to the colonized countries in Asia, in Nusantara especially, which also, of course, associate with Muslim majority, with Islam. Yeah. Yeah. We have some faculties, but if we talk about this university here, also in Indonesia, we always remember about its prominent study on humanities, right? With history, humanities, yeah, also social science. So during, for example, 1980s, 1990s, Malaysia, Indonesia made many cooperation, academic cooperation with Professor Atiu, the late Professor Atiu, for example, that make many agreement with Malaysian government, also Indonesia. I think at the time, Leiden was the Mecca of Malay studies. Yeah, at the time, many doctors were promoted there. Many dissertations were written there, and also many Malaysian and Indonesian scholars visited Leiden. Sorry, how to move it? Yeah. So the library was established in 1587, and then after that, they continually enriched their collection. During colonial time, many printed materials from our region, from Southeast Asia, from Nusantara, brought there by colonial administration official and other parties. Yeah. Now almost all collection are combined, yeah, from 𝐾𝐬𝐬𝐿 and from 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐷𝐿 Library in our building now in 𝐷𝐿, yeah. I think so far many collection already also online, but I think not all collection can be downloaded from outside. Yeah, they have special, they have their own policy about it. Yeah. Okay. As we know, every year we almost we send more than 3,000 titles from Southeast Asia, yeah, from Indonesia and Malaysia to this library, because Leiden have a representative office in Jakarta, 𝐾𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐿 Jakarta, who buy, which buy many books, yeah, from Malaysia, from Indonesia, to be sent to this library. So now, if we say about collection from Malay Nusantara, we have, if we put, how to say it, berjejer, yeah, we have more than 10 kilometers collections in this library, yeah, including photo, book, yeah, map, yeah, 10 kilometers, yeah. So our librarian walk hampir 10 kilometer sehari in underground, yeah, to take book, yeah, for the visitor, yeah. So how the library organized the manuscript from all over the world? We divided into 5 subsections, as you see here. But the important thing is the section, the South and Southeast Asian collection, with Malay and Indonesian as prominent collection there. Yeah. Other is Japanese collection, Middle Eastern, Hebraica, Judaica, yeah, Semitic, yeah, and South Central Asian collection, especially India and China, yeah. But the collection from Southeast Asia is one of the prominent collection there, yeah. We have more than 30,000 manuscript from Malay wool, yeah, from Nusantara. So this is the history of the Leiden interest in studying Islam and then Orientalists, yeah, and Southeast Asia, with some prominent scholar like 𝐶𝐤𝐿 that we now how to say it, now we use his name as the scholarship, yeah, that I think important for our student here to apply, yeah, 𝐶𝐤𝐿 about Islam, yeah, about Islam, yeah. Thomas Erpenius, for example, Raphelingus, and also Golius, yeah. So they are the founder of Islamic studies in Leiden University. Talking about the provenance, who collects the Malay Nusantara manuscript preserved in Leiden now? As I already mentioned by our library head, that to now, who brought the manuscript there? I think similar with Malaysia, the history of Malaysia's or manuscript from Malay Peninsula preserved in London or somewhere in England now. Uh, Talking in general, there are four categories of group of people who brought or collect the manuscript during colonial time. The first, colonial administrator, like Raffles, for example. Yeah, that's very popular and very, I think, one of colonizers, administrator here, that very enthusiast and very enthusiast to collect many things, including manuscript from our people. The second one, scholars of Oriental languages. The third, Christian missionaries. They are also very important. Yeah, both from Netherlands, from England, also from Germany. Yeah, and the last one is military personnel. So they are the people that already contributed in bringing manuscript from our region to Europe. I show you some of them here. I think everybody is already familiar with this name. Herman Nieuwbrunner van der Tuuk. He came here to Sumatra in the mid of 19th century to work for German missionaries mission in Batak. But later, later he quarreled, I think, with the missionaries. So he quit, and then he lived in Barus a couple of years and collect many manuscripts from this region, from Batak, from Minangkabau, from other regions. Almost all Van der Tuuk's collection now preserved in Leiden. Yeah. Van der Tuuk then moved to Lampung. He also collects some manuscript, many manuscripts there. And then the last time he moved to Bali, he also collect many Balinese manuscripts. He passed away in Surabaya in 17 August 48, not 84, sorry. I made mistake, yeah. Okay. Other example is Van Ronkel. He was a scholar who long time lived in Bukit Tinggi, for the Kok. He also collected many manuscripts from West Sumatra, also from some other places. Yeah. Van Ronkel then became a professor for Malay language in Leiden. Yeah. Here, for example, Van Ophuijsen and Van der Toon. I think Van Ophuijsen is familiar with us here, right? He was the first Dutch who standardized Malay language in Netherlands as India. In Malaysia, we know. Sorry, what is the name? No, not Zaba. The British administrator. Winstead, yeah. I think, yeah, Winstead, yeah. So Ejaan van Ophuijsen was very popular in the early of 20th century. The other collection, quite big collection, donated by 𝐻𝐤 𝐲. I think everybody already know this name, yeah. The biggest Netherlands Leiden Orientalist that became the advisor of Dutch colonial government in Batavia. When in tenure in Batavia, he collected many manuscripts, many books, especially the books written in Arabic. Yeah, because the Netherlands as India's governments want to get advice from him about the content of the book. Yeah, it is dangerous for colonial government or not. Yeah, so many of 𝐻𝐤 𝐲 book now preserved in Leiden UC Library, both in form of manuscript, also printed material, printed book. Seeing the content of the manuscript, I think, like also manuscript from Malaysia, from Malay Peninsula, preserved now in England. The content of the manuscripts are very diverse, yeah, like geography and ethnography, language, literature, local historiography, political and economic, etc. Yeah. So, I think, generally speaking, the content of the manuscript represents the dynamic, the reach of our culture and that period, yeah, in terms of tangible, also intangible forms, yeah, drawing, religions, also report, letters, especially sent by local governments to the colonizer authorities in Batavia or in Singapore at the time, yeah. So also we only focus on Malay manuscript, which I think deals with Islam, with Jawi, but in Leiden, they also have manuscript from written in other script, like in Batak, yeah, in Rencong script from Lampung, in Buginese script from Sulawesi, yeah. So other than those are written in Jawi, there are also many collections written in other local scripts that already exist in our region before the European power arrived here. Talking about the number, there are many manuscripts preserved in the library, Leiden Library, still not explored fully, yeah, in detail. So at least until now, 4 times catalog already, how to say it, revisit, yeah. The last information from our expert, Professor 𝐷𝐿𝐾𝐬 mentioned that maybe more than 30,000 titles, yeah. What the problem is, sometimes in one bundle we can find many more than one, yeah. Sometimes in one bundle we only have one title, yeah. Like for example, the oldest Hikayat Hang Tuah, 400 page more, preserved now in the library. Just one, yeah. But many bundles contain many more than one title, yeah. So we try to upgrade our catalog until now, yeah. This is the example of catalog, I think, but this also available online now. So I think for our student who want to look for the collection in Leiden can search via online catalog, yeah. So I move now to printed material. This is, I think, one of the richness of the library, which invite many scholars to come here, to come there, right? Many old material from the colonial time, even in the form of lithography, yeah, preserved in this library. I show you here, for example, diverse book, magazines, periodicals, journals, newspaper, maps, sketch of and picture. Talking about books, for example, they preserve school book, they preserve early popular novel, yeah, published in Medan, in Kuala Lumpur. They preserve, for example, many books in JavaScript printed with lithography technology from Penyengat, from Singapore. Yeah, so this is one of the rare collection found in Leiden UC Library that invites many scholars, international scholars, to visit the library to get the first-hand source, yeah, about our region, Malay Nusantara. Yeah, I show you here some of them, like newspaper, like majalah, yeah, like Islamic magazine, also very popular. Ladies and gentlemen, until now, I don't find any single deep study, yeah, in PhD level about the development of Islamic magazine in this region. Yeah, banyak sekali in both in from this region and also from Southeast Asia. I think it is one of important topic to become dissertation. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, and Leiden have huge collection about this. Yeah, I show you here, for example, 𝐷𝐵𝐸 magazine, in through which I think we can see the dynamic of Islam in the late of 19th century until the early of 20th century. Yeah, so this is very important topic. Yeah, I imagine a talented student from our campus here to study about this. Yeah, and I promise to help help him or her in Leiden if visit this very huge and rich collection. Yeah, like Roman Roman popular, yeah, from early 20th century, both from Malaysia, also from Indonesia, preserved in this library. Different from today's popular Roman. The popular Roman at the time expressed their nationalism, expressed their resistance to the colonizer. So this is also important material that can be studied further, yeah, from the historical and cultural perspective. Yeah, so almost, yeah, all the material I already mentioned, the manuscript and the rare early and rare printed material only can be read in the special collection. So tidak boleh dibawa keluar, ya, only there, yeah, because they carefully preserve the collection. Yeah. Yeah. How about the research about this? I think many people here also already know. There are many publications, mostly from dissertation, published, already published, yeah, based on the research of the author in the library. But of course, there are still many others can be studied. Yeah. Here I show you some of them. The last one, I think, from Mulaika Hijaz, about the syair, some syair written by female authors from Malay Nusantara world. Yeah. Of course, if we talk about Malay world, the Undang-Undang Malacca by Liu Yok-Fang was one of the important study about this. Yeah, I don't. Of course, I can't list all of the dissertation or book based from dissertation that already published, based on the scholarly investigation in this library to the collection of Malay manuscript preserved in Leiden Library. But if we see from the historical perspective, I think in the period of after independence or before Indonesian independence, 1930s, then in 1990s, 1790s, were many publication about manuscript, Malay and Nusantara manuscript preserved in this library. Different from earlier period in 1970s and 90s, the PhD candidate, many PhD candidates came from Malaysia, also from Indonesia, under supervision of Professor Atiu and his colleagues at the time. Colleagues, yeah. Good. So I come to concluding remarks. I think Malay Nusantara manuscript form a large part of the Oriental collection belonging in Ube, Leiden until now. So the manuscript include the South and Southeast Asia's collection, one of 5 sub-collections that owned by Leiden. This collection is handed by the 𝐵𝐮𝐴 collection section in Leiden. Yeah, the collection of Malay Nusantara manuscript in Leiden began in the 16th century, collected by many collectors. Yeah, and the collection continued in subsequent periods, reaching its peak in 19th century. So compare with British Library, I think we still collect many manuscripts from this region until now via Arcadia project. Yeah, but in Leiden they stopped until the end of colonial time, I think. So there is no new manuscript actually now. Yeah, but new book already always collected through our branch office in Jakarta. So the important thing is the identification of the Malay manuscript Nusantara story in Ube, not yet complete. Yeah, because many of them still not in the catalog, put in catalog in detail. Yeah, so for example, last month I was asked by the librarian to check huge bundle collection from Aceh War. Belum diinvestigasi. There are many collection in this bundle. So slow but sure, the librarian tried to put it online, so many can be known by global international reader. Yeah. So there are still many collection that not yet list in the catalog. Yeah. Dealing with the written early print material, I think, as I mentioned, there are abundant material about these preserved in Leiden. That's very important. That already attract many foreign researchers to go to this library to obtain, to collect primary data through journal, through newspaper, and other kind of material. So this collection of classical and rare printed materials include diverse kind of magazine, periodical, newspaper, indigenous and Peranakan Chinese literary works, school books, religious books, maps, sketch, etc., written in Malay, use Arabic Latin or Latin script. Apart from that, this library also keeps similar material written in Dutch and English. Yeah, that's also very important. So other than the Islamic magazine I already mentioned, I think school book, pelajaran bahasa Melayu, yeah, this is also important. I saw hundreds of textbooks about Malay language already produced during for the last for centuries. Yeah, this is important topic. Yeah, also from linguistic perspective to become the subject of study, right? Yeah, belum ada orang yang fokus ke sini. I think through, if we use this material, we can see the development, the dynamic of Malay language during 18 or maybe earlier until the late colonial time. Yeah, important topic, I think. So I think this huge collection of Malay Nusantara manuscript and its old rare book stored in Leiden is the first-hand and never-ending sources for research on aspect of Malay Nusantara culture and history, and I think that's why until now the very good and new study about our region from different perspective, we still should this library because they well preserve all material, the manuscript from Malay Nusantara region. Yeah, we have now some money, yeah, which is provided for foreign students to visit Leiden Library. So I think if we have talented student here, I can help them to visit the library to collect the material that not available in our library. I think as from experience of Leiden Library, I agree with what is 𝐷𝐿𝐿 mentioned, that in language means the greatest advantage of the library is that those who want to study can study, right? Yeah. So that's why the one of the very positive aspect of Leiden library, because whatever we want to look for, almost we can find there. Yeah, including how many women pregnant in Malacca in 1820, for example, how many, for example, animals in one nagari in Minangkabau, they know all things. Yeah. So I'm waiting for you, especially student in Leiden. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Siradi. That was a very interesting exposition of the library in Leiden. A few important points. I don't want to comment here, but I want to leave questions and answers after all three have presented, but I need to comment on a few things. One, that the call for Malaysian students to do their PhD in Islamic studies based on the Leiden Library. What's important here also that we tend to forget in the modern period, Singapore and Pulau Pinang and Batavia and Padang are centers of the transmission of Islam, actually. Early on was Malacca, but after that, I was Aceh, of course, Dr. Mehmet is here. But Singapore, Penang is between 1876 to World War II, actually. That is why? Because that is when the manuscripts are copied, one. Two, periodicals and books are printed and reprinted and circulated. So again, then many of these are Islamic books. These are Islamic printing houses, basically Malay Islam printing houses in Singapore, Penang, and satu lagi in Batavia and Padang. Second point is that it is important for Malay scholars to learn Dutch. I don't know Dutch. I need to get people to help me, to assist me in to translate Dutch sources. But I think it's important for perhaps IIUM or other university to have a program on Dutch language, maybe ISTEC, I don't know. Because this will enable us to study other sources, and one of which is Leiden. They have many works and not only manuscripts, but many printed books and many periodicals in that language. So our handicap is that we do not know, because the Dutch among the European powers are the earliest and the earliest European power, and the one that has created the most corpus on the Malay world, on the Malay archipelago, on Malay civilization, is the Dutch. The first Malay printed book was by a Dutch, Houtman, Frederick de Houtman, 1603, Malay word list. And from there, there's so many. So the Dutch are more than the British and more than the others, perhaps. So again, of course, other European, European nations, Russians, Italians, French, Portuguese, and Spanish also keep and collect and study the Malays. But Dutch has one of the largest collections of the Malay corpus in the world. So again, that's the message, I suppose, that we have to pick up from Dr. Suradi. Thank you. Second speaker is Professor Dr. 𝐷𝐼𝐷𝐼𝐻. Title is A New Era in Ottoman Intellectual and Civilizational Dimensions, Ibrahim Mutafrika Collection, which is in the 𝐸𝐵𝐻 Library. Dr. 𝐷𝐼𝐷𝐼𝐻 has a PhD in Sociology of Religion, Masters in Sociology and Anthropology, and Bachelor's degree in English. Expertise is Malay history and civilization, Malay-Ottoman relations, and which we hope that since he's in 𝐸𝐵𝐻 that he can facilitate again after, I think, almost 1 decade of initiative to study the Ottomans here in UIA. Aceh history, political and intellectual history of the Malay world, Ottoman political and social thought, contemporary Asia-Pacific region. He's collaborating with me in 𝐸𝐵𝐻 on many platforms. Also, we collaborate with Dr. Suradi on one of which is our lecture series on the journalism, reform, and society, which is also related to this topic. So, Dr. Jose.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-'aliyyil azim. Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be over here. In fact, I am not alien to this library. I think some more people recognize me. I wish to just a kind of soft transition from Bapa Suryadi's presentation to mine. Yesterday, after midnight, early this morning, I received one WhatsApp message from Istanbul. The gentleman, I do not know him. He said that I am one of the librarian in one of the most important libraries in Istanbul. After he retired, he has been searching some books from different regions in the world. He said that during his own tenure in that particular library, they focus on the Western libraries. So he said to me, throughout his friends to India, collected some 20, 30 books. I expected to hear something more. The next message said that I would like to ask you, to me, to inform him about the books published in Malay world. I don't think so. I will suggest him just 20, 30 books. And this is a very important anecdote, very fresh. We in Turkey, quite alien to this world. till today. I know that particular library. I spent all my years during master and PhD with a nice library, but quite weak about the Malay world. Okay, for this opportunity, I would like to thank you very much for all the committee members of the organizing this nice event. By the permission of Dr. Hafiz Zakaria, Dr. Fan Ali, Prof. Murat Merikan Hocam, Suryadi Hocam, Pak Halim, thank you very much, Sister Jumadil. This is quite a bit different story. I am honored to be here. Let me start by these simple things. As one of the presenters in this unique academic event with this opportunity, I wish to extend my sincere regards to all members of the committee members, including Mr. Fadli and Mr. Ahmed Zaki, including the others I mentioned already. I am sure that my talk will not be repetitive of what you have heard from other Turkish academicians. By this, I wish to hint that my perspective is not descriptive oriented, but more inclined toward inquiry oriented. This is in fact not an easy talk for me. The print world and the intellectuals who led the process of change are important and not unique. But the problem of the task is what happened before and after this particular historical period from 1727 until 1745 during the era of Sultan Ahmed III and Mahmud I throughout the efforts of Ibrahim Mutafarrika. I will not talk about what you want to hear, some pompous discourse such as the mighty power of the Ottomans, etc. Rather, I wish to prompt you to rethink the reality of Ottoman society. This paper is based on a brief survey of the 17 existing manuscript documents in 23 books produced by Ibrahim Mutafarrika in the years between 1727 until he passed away, the year 1745 or 1747, two different dates, that are deposited at SMNL State Library, Mohammed Said Mohammed Said Library in Istek. Before going into details of my presentation, the most important stage will be remembered. For that purpose, I invite Mr. Ahmed Zaki to explain the IBM collection, Ibrahim Mutafarrika collection, to us here. Mr. Ahmed Zaki, please welcome.
So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. So, and very good morning, everyone. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. So, I'm here to share how we started working with Prof. 𝐷𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 on the Ibrahim Mutafarrika collection, or we call it IBM. So, the Said Muwaqi' Al-Atas Library, I will call it Al-Atas Library, houses a rare collection by IBM. These 18th century Ottoman texts are believed to be the first printed work ever published by Muslim world. And we have it complete set, 23 volumes of it. And also we realized that not many people are aware of this. And although this collection has significant historical and intellectual value, including it's a very high price, the exact amount in which I cannot mention here, it's remained unknown among the wider public and even some researchers, particularly in Malaysia or maybe in Southeast Asia. So therefore, we started thinking on how we could introduce this collection to the wider community and encourage more scholars to come and do research. And as a librarian, our roles is not only to take care of books and preserve collection. So we also have a responsibility to become a bridge connecting society and scholars with the treasures of knowledge kept in the library. So, so for IBM collection, we are very lucky, very fortunate to have known Prof. 𝐷𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻, one of our academicians in Istek IUM. Since he is from Turkey, he can read and speak Turkish language, of course, Prof, and also expert in Ottoman history. So we believe that he will be the right person to help us introduce IBM collection in the library. So I still remember clearly when we first time showed IBM collection to Prof. Mehmet, the complete set of Ibrahim Mutafrika in the library. And his first reaction was, wow, impressive. And I asked him, why, Prof? And he mentioned that it's not an easy to see a complete set of IBM outside Turkey. And today we have it here in our library, or perhaps the only in South Asia, isn't it? Okay. Thank you so much. So it increased our motivation to bring out the IBM collection from the library shelf to public awareness so that we can attract more scholars, researchers come and make research. So from there, we plan to collaborate with Prof. Mehmet Nosy. Maybe we can produce articles, to have a lecture and exhibition, including the program that you are having today. So this type of collaboration is not new to Al-Atas Library, actually. So previously, we also have collaborated with some other scholars, for example, with Prof. Ahmad Murad Marikan, memang antara yang aktif dengan library, Histek. So many times we work with him, and inshallah many more with him. And his last lecture on collection in the library, Prof collection that available in the library. So inshallah we have another more, isn't it? Okay. So also Dr. Seradi was invited in the library several years ago, and alhamdulillah we have again here, and we are very pleased to welcome him again. And also we have today have opportunity to collaborate with Khazanah Fatania. Actually, it was suggested by Prof. Mehmet to deal with Khazanah Fatania so that they can share their wisdom, especially on the printing work in the Malay world, isn't it? So, and also we have a collaborate with National Library too as a share partner for today's exhibition project. So inshallah, we will continue to develop more collaborations in future. Prof. Hafiz, the Dean of Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman Kuliah of Islamic Revel Knowledge and Human Science. Panjangan khas. So we plan to work with 𝐼RK on several manuscript-related projects as suggested by rectors of IUM, inshallah, after this. So that's all. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmad Zaki. Without his help, I could not get this big surprise in my life in STEC. I should also mention Prof. Osman Bakar. When I came in STEC 2022 July, after a while, thank you very much. After a while, he said, Mehmet, why you do not go into the library and do some research about Ottoman manuscripts? I said, wow, okay. Even though I was busy with my officiated research activity under RMC, I allocated my quite nice time in library, 3-4 months, but I could not come across with this particular collection. What Prof. Osman Bakar mentioned, that it is the already cataloged 200 copies of Ottoman manuscripts. So I started some of them, of course, not all of them, 3-4 months. I selected some oldest, nicest ones, then produced one article published in Studia Islamica. I am very happy to produce this one. I am very appreciate the kind assistance of our rector now, the former our colleague in ISTEC, still our colleague. And Ibrahim Mutafrika last year came into our agenda, as mentioned by Ahmad Zaki. Okay. So this is the title of my presentation, very shortly. It is quite a long paper, but I will make it shorter, hopefully. A note on Ibrahim Mutafrika, IBM coded by the librarians, collection at SMNLA. Is it possible to describe Ibrahim Mutafrika as someone who followed the steps of the spirit of the time during the early decades of 18th century, between 1700 and 1745? Or should we call him someone who tried to determine the spirit of the time by his own thoughts and deeds? A few other questions should follow. Why did Ibrahim Mutafrika initiate that cultural intellectual investment? The reasons may be as follows: being an ambitious literary person, because he was closer to the Grand Vizier, Damat Ibrahim Pasha, setting the stage for his personal bureaucratic career in Ottoman society, and etc. While these questions remain unanswered, how can we develop a narrative about Ottoman modernization? Or I may pose a counter question: why didn't the Ottomans establish a similar print workshop in earlier centuries, let's say 1500s, 1600s, waiting until 1700s? At the same time, did the non-Muslim minorities begin their own private print workshops in various provinces under Ottoman rule? We infer from the first question that he was a representative of an established system in terms of print work. On the other hand, one can infer from the second question that he was the original initiator of an era that would have had efficacy across diverse areas. Or if we can trace the intellectual and professional activities of Ibrahim Mutafarrika, one can also argue that he failed to realize the future projection of what he taught during his early venture. I argue that the intellectual intent and practical investment of Ibrahim Mutafarrika are the same as those of Ahmed El-Shidyak, 19th century Arab intellectual who initiated Al-Jawaib Arabic newspaper between 1861 until 1884. An Arab convert. Originally, he was a Maronite Christian from Lebanon and converted to Islam. This subject matter, overall, I will talk these issues, simply a man's biography, indicator of societal change, a part and parcel intellectual history of Ottoman society, reorientation of Islamic Ottoman Turkish society in terms of modernization. Probably you will hear more from me, modernity, modernization, not only just Islam, Muslim, Ottoman society, but connected to different civilizations. Okay. Ibrahim Mutafarrika was born in Kolozsvár, Transylvania, Hungary, between 1672 or between 1675, a Unitarian Christian who later converted to Islam. In fact, there is a quite nice academic intellectual discussion whether he was belonging to Unitarian or Calvinist. This is another story of his personal life. But I believe it also had impact on intellectual venture, how and why he invested in print culture in Ottoman land. Mutafarrika, as Watson states, Ibrahim Mutafarrika is known only by certain general characteristics or descriptive titles. Nevertheless, his biography lacks many details, even though he was one of the pioneers of modern processes in Ottoman society. This is another interesting story or question, why that particular intellectual did not write his own biography. I may get some answers, but it is later on, maybe I will write. Who is Ibrahim Mutafarrika? He introduces himself as Ibrahim min Mutafarrikan Dergah-ı Ali in one of the books included in this collection, Usul-u Fiqh fi Nizam-ı Alem, his own book presented to Mahmud I. It's a kind of, we can say, the report or lahia to inform the ruler how to be just, how to rule the society accordingly, etc. Usul-u Hikam fi Nizam-ı Alem. Nizam-ı Alem at the same time is a kind of reference to Ottoman state. Mutafarrika is an honorific title meaning court steward. We always say Mutafarrika, Mutafarrika. What it means that he was one of the highest bureaucrats in Ottoman bureaucratic system. And he acquired this title sometime between 1705, 1711. Based on Ottoman archival sources, the earliest document to refer to the word mutafarrika dates to January 28, 1484. Means that the late 15th century, this position, this bureaucratic role played by some other people. So this is my own extended research in Ottoman archives, probably earlier, but till now I just saw this is the one earliest. It is inferred that this class of bureaucrats closely work with the Sultan or the Sultan's office. It is clear that how someone, as a convert Muslim, in a short period of time, he became a very important person in Ottoman system. He himself, not easily probably, but accessed to the court, met with Sultan, met with the Grand Vizier, Ibrahim Pasha, met with Shaykh al-Islam. This is important. Why? Because the story of this publication of this manuscript, without the orderly informed and decreed, could not be facilitated. So first, he informed Grand Vizier, getting approval, reached Sultan. Then he put a degree by his own writings or the script writers. Then asked Shaykh al-Islam, give the fatwa. Then he initiated his print work. His title named Mutafarrika takes our attention first, as observed in other documents in the Ottoman archive. Mutafarrika was a title given to one of the high echelon of Ottoman bureaucracy. They appeared in the military class, but they were assigned civil tasks such as writing and translating documents, including treaties with the Ottomans' rival states. Ibrahim is also referred to as Basmacı Ibrahim. When we search in Google, we can find not Mutafarrika, but Basmacı. Basmacı means that Ibrahim the printer. So some writers prefer to, by using this word, Basmacı, printer, some people authentically use the Mutafarrika. The date on this document indicates that the person mentioned here is Ibrahim Mutafarrika, and the detailed information in the document also indicates that there are various types of Mutafarrika status, that the one mentioned here is located within the structure called Dergah-ı Ali, means that Ottoman court. So what I say over the document means that the authentic source in Ottoman archive. Basmacı Ibrahim Mutafarrika, he is also known as Basmacı Ibrahim Efendi, is one of the salient individuals known for his self-entrepreneurship in intellectual life, not only in the 18th century, but also in the last few centuries of the Ottomans, because of his distinguished intellectual stance and practices. It will not be wrong to argue that Mutafarrika was one of the earliest modernizers of Ottoman industry and intellectual life through his investment in a print workshop. Although he is known mostly by his print venture in Istanbul since 1727, he also had some other characteristics such as author, translator, printer, diplomat, courtier. Please, keyword is Mutafarrika. He's a civil officer, but acted time to time as a military or assistant to the military staff. During the treaty times, negotiations, during the parties with the, let's say, Russians or the Lech or Austria or France, he was one of the core people always in the field. So his capacity and capability, intellectuality, diplomat, linguistic capability, always related to this task in his life. He also had some characteristics, yes, are believed to make him as polymath among his social group during his own lifetime. Mutafarrika's publication house, which bore his name as well, is distinguished from similar ones as it was known as the first Muslim press in Istanbul, as mentioned, 1727, and approved by the Sultan's decree. This is interesting, his own printing house. So it means that he was quite wealthy person. Like Ahmed el-Shijak, I gave it his name, 19th century. He got the similar phases, permits from the Grand Vizier, then Shaykh al-Islam, then operated by his own workshop in Istanbul, 1861 onwards. Similar case happened in the life of Müteferrika. So when the time comes, I will show this. Yeah, this is petition to the Sultan. It works. Surati Arzuhal means that petition. Sultanım, my lord, or my sultan. Okay. So it is written and decreed to give permission to Müteferrika. This is details. Devletli, saadetli, hazretli, sağ olun, Ottoman style. They're very formal language. This quotation coming from the Tarihi Seyyah Dar Beyan Zuhuru Afghaniyan, the history of Afghanistan, still in the collection. Page 5, introductory pages. These are very important. Almost all introductory pages, the 17 books, repetitively inform us the same things. Why? I'm not sure, but quite nice, including the name of the books. The last part, I think, is important. I request that His Majesty grant permission for its printing if deemed appropriate by His Majesty and exalted conscience for its publication and delivery to the people. This is important, people. Means that public space intentionally was on the way to be changed by this intellectual and industrial investment. Conversion to Islam, I think I should pass this section. His attempt and process. İbrahim Müteferrika describes his initiative as follows. Bu fenni bedi'i 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐲𝐽𝐭 means that this execute unparalleled and wondrous art form. He described what he is doing during that time and introducing his intention to the upper level, means that Grand Vizier and the Sultan. With this execute and wondrous art form, we respectfully request your support in multiplying books, reviving knowledge and sciences, making the community of students of knowledge happy and joyful. Almost not perfect translation or transcription from Ottoman Turkish and translation into English, but almost the meaning like this. This is again from the same book, Tarihi Seyyah Beyan Zuhuru Afghaniyan ve İnhidam-ı Devlet-i Safaviyan, the full title, introductory page 2. Before the beginning of the printing process, the Ottomans, through individuals, ventures such as İbrahim Müteferrika, with the strong advocacy of Said Ağa. Said Ağa, very important person who facilitated all these processes for İbrahim Müteferrika. In this regard, İbrahim Müteferrika's attempt is considered isolated and unsustained. One of the Western scholars says, described like this: although Müteferrika's printing workshop ceased after his demise, his publications are sufficiently salient to convey a strong message to Istanbul's literate circles and the state authorities. His attempts, unfortunately, proved premature. Means that just only 13 years, he continued this work. Later on, when he passed away, 45 or 47, no one continued, including Mahmud I. He was known as one of the earliest reformist sultan, 1740 onwards, but no any attempts seen until the beginning of 19th century. Nodob İbrahim Müteferrika perceived that Ottoman society needed social change, and he conveyed this idea through his aforementioned work. His approach to the state authorities demonstrates his sincerity and his desire to carry out the change process by obtaining approval for all necessary documents. In this context, we may argue that his Risale-i İslamiye, a book defending Islam, which is not included in that collection, a separate book. I hope we will get it. 𝐷 Islamiyya seems to have played a pivotal role in his bargaining process with the highest authorities, namely the Sultan, Grand Vizier, and Shaykhul Islam in Ottoman state. Means that he proposed a book before publication, writing a book, a risala, small book. Why Islam? Why this process should be conducted? Although he did not receive a proper response from Damat Ibrahim Pasha, or when the letter suggested a more procedural application process, Ibrahim Müteferrika requested a fatwa from Shaykhul Islam Abdullah Efendi. He called his name in the introductory pages Mevlana Abdullah Efendi Hazretlerinden istiftaf olunup. And the Sultan's decree from Ahmed III after he gained the fatwa, and the Sultan's decree July 5, 1727. So let me share this fatwa. This is fatwa. Tercüme-i Mezkure'nin nefi ame ve sebebi ittikaz. The translation we tried. Since the aforementioned translation is of public benefit and the reason for caution is obvious to the most knowledgeable, permission and authorization are given for its dissemination through printing and other means, no obstruction is made as ordered by the judge. So this is the fatwa from Shaykhul Islam. Unless his approval, no one can print or write manuscripts in Istanbul or other provinces in Turkey. This is very quite, let's say, we can say authoritarian. The time is like that because of the control of the production of knowledge and dissemination of these books, written materials, either manuscript forms or the printed one. His securing assistance from some individuals in the scholarly circles show that he maintained regular communication with those people and institutions. Among those appointed are, as the correctors, Musahih correctors at the publication house, were İshak Efendi, Qadi of Istanbul, very high level. Esad Efendi, Qadi of Galata. Galata is the opposite of Istanbul, the old corner, the new corner is Beyoğlu today. Again, Qadi. Sahib Efendi, Qadi Selanik in Yunania, Greek currently. Shaykh Musa Efendi, Kasım Pasha, Sufi Lodge. All these individuals contributed by their capacity and capability to run this workshop, not only just one single person's action. But he collectively organized all these people and facilitated the publication process. Okay. We also traced the who were the human resources, some other documents in coming centuries, coming decades. Let's say proofreader, Musahi, first editor, Murettabi Awal, editor, Murettab, master printer, Basmacı Ustası, typeface editor, Basmacı, safekeeping documents, Hurufat Murettabi. So Ottoman language on the documentations show us that there are multiple task force, not only a small group of people. So this is in fact a very great invention or endeavor of this Ahmed Ibrahim Müteferrika. So challenges, it takes place in the intellectual history of the Ottomans. In another sense, it can also be regarded as a civilizational dimension, as some individuals or collective ilmiye sınıfı, means that religious bureaucracy, objected to the institutionalization of print work, since they had a monopoly over the production and the reproduction of scholarly works. This is very important period between the novelty, modernity, and keeping the traditionality. Both individuals, artisans, experts, and their whole production process. We discussed with Mr. Zeki, Ahmed Zeki. There were some objections significantly came from these artisans, including madrasa people, ulama, and script writers. Why? Because this is not only related to Islam, not only related to language, Arabic language, or Turkish, Ottoman Turkish in Arabic calligraphy. It is an economy. It is a social value. It is a prestige. All these things accumulated why some certain group of people rejected significantly this attempt. This is another stage of study, research. We should calculate how many pieces. We know exactly, Watson already calculated 13,200 pieces published by Mutafarrika publication houses in 13 years. We can divide how many pieces sold, were sold. Probably we cannot find, like in Leiden, detailed sources, but we can calculate the number of madrasa just in Istanbul. How many ulama, teaching staff, how many students, how many intellectuals outside madrasa system. Then we can see how many script writers. What we know, thousands of script writers, not only just, of course, Istanbul, the other provinces. Means that this is a huge economic value, a new investment. So people could not easily give a right to other people, newcomers. That's why after his demise, stopped after 70 years or 50 years. The era when he emerged, Ibrahim Mutafarrika, some other individuals as well, I mentioned some of them. Lale Devri. Lale Devri is the era of tulip. Let me find here, hopefully. I have not yet come to collection yet. Sorry. Basmaji, yes. Lale Devri. Okay, I didn't take notes over here. Anyway, Lale Devri is between 1713, 1713, sampai 1730. So this era is known as the first officially committed reform era under the rulership of Ahmed III. The end of the day, he lost his head because of significant reaction, what I mentioned earlier. But interestingly, Ibrahim Mutafarrika survived. This is another story. We should conduct a research. Ibrahim Mutafarrika's initiation of print work appeared in the time of critical period, as stated by Watson, because of the changing process, which is also recalled as Lale Devri, the tulip era. In general Ottoman history, through the various reform attempts of Sultan Ahmed III, intentionally found opportunity among the state organizations. The reason for Lale Devri, which gave the era its name, was that the rare flower called tulip was planted in palace yards, probably in some public courts in Istanbul. The Netherlands is the center of tulip in modern Iran. Istanbul still keep on, it's especially in May, the Bulan May, you may see everywhere tulip. While Sultan Ahmed III issued a court decree granting permission for print books, Said Aha entered in the closer cooperation with Ibrahim Mutafarrika to run a printing workshop in Istanbul. This relatively short period is remembered as a reform era for its deliberate change. It deserves to be regarded as the first formal and institutional attempt at reform by state authorities. This is very important. Important because the systemic change coming from the Atas, Atinya Sultan himself, Sendiri, initiated this reform. Means that to catch up the development in the West. I mean, I missed many points. Maybe there are significant gaps to not to catch what I say. Because of the wars, continuous wars, first with the Persia, then later on the Central Europe, especially with the Hungary, and the stage was taken significantly by the Russians. So Russians caused very significant degradation in the Ottoman military and later on political system. So someone appeared like Ahmed III, initiated the reform to catch up the developments. But it was deviated from the major points and they started to just ornamental reform. Especially they emulated the architectural design from Europe and they're spending huge money. At the end of the day, the reform did not reach its objectives. But one single man and some of his friends, Ibrahim Mutafarrika, conducted very significant initiation. The spirit was observed not only in individuals' ventures into new area to change social and cultural life, but also in the state authorities' engagement with policies to facilitate these initiatives. In this regard, 𝐷𝐸𝐵 Mehmet Çelebi, 28 the number of the person, status as the honorific title, 28 Mehmet Çelebi and his son Said Ağa, I mentioned twice before, visit to Paris. And the transfer of their scholarly experience in Istanbul constituted an initial stage of systemic change. Very briefly, who these guys? These are, again, Çelebi means that holding very significant position in Ottoman system. With his son, he paid a visit by the order of Sultan Ahmed III to Paris to observe what was going on over there. The changing processes, industrialization, urban landscape, many things. But I believe that their perception very limited, because at short time you could not access all the dimensions of societal change and happen in Paris or France or Europe. But whatever they undertook the responsibility, they transferred to Istanbul. Said Ağa, the son of 28 Çelebi Mehmet, was very close to Ibrahim Müteferrika. That's why they came united for the purpose of changing something significantly in society. I ask myself, still a question exists over it, why Müteferrika did not accompany them to Paris? He did many visits, especially for treaty agreements and over here, especially with the Leh and the Russians, but he didn't go himself, based on the documents, to Paris. But he received a report. I shall come to Malay words, right? It's very boring to hearing from Istanbul always. So, although the collection of Ibrahim Müteferrika is known in Turkey and Europe, in North America, I communicated with the McGill, a librarian, responded me, yes, they had the same collection, missing one copy. This is another story. Turkey and North America, through its circulation among literate individuals, collectors over the decades, it's important to see nearly the entire collection in Southeast Asia over here in ISTEC IIUM. I believe that this is a kind of small privileges. As Suryadi Hoca invited all our students, including me, I assume myself student, to Leiden, I wish. We invite students from different departments, political science, art, sociology, anthropology, philology, to ISTEC IIUM. Please study these works. I hope Mr. Fazil and Ahmed Zaki will help till the end. And they are preparing to open the library 24 hours. I'm sorry. Malay world-Ottoman relations do not tell us anything about the context of the 18th century Müteferrika collection, unfortunately. American Hocam mentioned, Suryadi Hocam mentioned the first Malay-Dutch dictionary. I made slightly a different date. If I'm not wrong, 1579, when Frederick Houtman was in prison in Banda Aceh because he didn't accept the conversion to Islam. He kept himself in his own, I think, Catholic belief. But Acehnese entertained him by providing manuscripts. So he wrote in 1.5 years, first Dutch-Malay language, still kept somewhere. While he was staying in prison, he didn't just entertain himself, so looking around, right? In Banda Aceh, very nice environment. Maybe they allowed him to swim because the Westerners swim much. But he kept this notes, Malay manuscript, Malay, I believe that all hikayas relevant at that time, and translated into Dutch language. On the other hand, to trigger our minds, the Malay must have been informed to some extent by print works during the colonial process, as mentioned by previous speaker, particularly during the establishment of Batavia by the Dutch, 1621, 1640. They already started just their own internal bureaucratic informative documents. But later on, these are converted to newspapers. Then later on become books formats. The Dutch print process began with the publication of pamphlets, which also contained government decrees, announcement, other information. Later, the publication of books again was an initiative of the Dutch government, and the third stage was the publication of Dutch newspapers. IBM collection, yes, thank you very much. Your Sabar. We came to what we have in ISTEC, Said Naqib Al-Atas Library, IBM collection. So this is statistical data. I like to play on the numbers because different macam beda informasi tentang collection, the other things as well. Even we can count the numbers, the concepts, names, years, very productive, I mean, for research activities. So 19 the degrees from Sultan, from Shaykhul Islam, and approval from Grand Wizard, 1727. But in 2-year period, he, Mutafarrika, and his team, human resources, prepared for the first publication, means that after 2 years, 29 first 3 books appeared. The list like this. When the time comes 1734, after the coup and the execution of Sultan Ahmed III, of course, 4 years, but we see the decreasing the number from the earlier one. I believe that this is the impact of the social revolution, quote unquote, in Istanbul. And 6-year intervals, why, how, still yet to be answered. And then later on, reinitiated 41.3, 42.1 pieces. Which books, which year, we have this data in ISTEC. I should not repeat the same things. Okay. The IBM contains all 17 printed books in 23 volumes, and the collection is preserved in the special collections section level B2. This is the address, but you cannot enter. Just ask the permission from Mr. Fazli at ISTEC Majestic Library building. Building is majestic, but the inside more majestic, I believe that. So please allow us 24 hours to study inside with all our students. It is reasonable to argue that Ibrahim Mutafarrika's collection at SMNL is among the most valuable items deposited in certain categories. In this regard, since the collection is considered the first printed works ever published by Muslims, Sharifa Alatas, 1998, page 129. It is no doubt enriched the library. It argued that ISTEC's Mutafarrika collection is a remarkable, and here is the trump card because it is the only complete set other than the one housed in Istanbul. Again, from Sharifa Alatas' book. Of course, Istanbul, they have the complete one. There is one slightly different calculation. This is out of context now. Controversy, I should pass this controversy. Modernity, yes, I like much this subject. Oh yeah, this is not seen in my printed documents. These are the names, sorry, a bit champo probably. Number one, of course not number one, this one. Number one, Vankulu. Number one is Vankulu, Mehmet Vankulu, translated one Arab Persian dictionary, 2 volumes, very thick. The first work printed by Mutafarrika Publication House. Let me just briefly, Tarikh Tufa al-Kibar fi Ashar al-Bihar, Katib Chalabi's very famous book, History and Geography. Tarikh Seyyah Bayan Zuhur Afghaniyan and Davlat Safawiyan. Very authentic sources. I mean, history departments, political science departments, sociology departments can gain very primary information from these works, and readable, very clear. Okay. Tarih Mısır El-Kadim Süheyli Efendi. Someone, Süheyli Efendi, I mentioned Ahmed Zaki. Who's that guy? I say he's the writer, and translated by Ibrahim Mutafarrika from Arabic. So it talks about the history of Mısır. I think before the Selim, they first acquired the territory, not conquered, acquired the territory 1517. Gülşen-i Hulefa el-Nizamizade Efendi. This is Nizamizade Efendi, also the writer, original writer, and translated Gülşen-i Hulefa. I think this is the also kind of political geographical combination. One work, French and Turkish dictionary. This is unique, directly from the West. This is the intellectual curiosity of Ibrahim Mutafarrika, I guess. Usul-i Hikam fi Nizam Alem. This is a very important book. One of the lahiyas we can consider is the report to the rulers, how to rule the state and society, written by himself. Very authentic source, Ibrahim Mutafarrika. Cihan Numa, this is a wonderful book, written by Katib Çelebi, again, Mirror of the World. Takvim al-Tawari, history book, again, Naima. Almost all sociology, history, political science students in Turkey know Naima, because his book translated into modern Turkish language. We still have online available 6 volumes. Very nice history of 17th, 18th century. Tarihi Rashid, after Naima, someone continued. And these individuals also took positions in Ottoman system. They were called Raisul Kuttab. So they collected all official documents, then they sat and write the history, particular period, of course, not from top to down Ottoman history. This is 3 volumes. Again, I mentioned earlier calculation of number of collection. One of the elements related to this 3 volumes, because these 3 volumes, including another book, 𝐷𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐻𝐻, I wrote somewhere in my paper, but it is not seen as a separate book. It is included the Tarihi Rashid. This is very interesting. Another one, Ahval-i Gazawat Diyar Bosna. This is the history of Bosnia, how Ottomans gained power in Bosnia, in Balkania. So these are the small summary about this. One more book, Füziyat-ı Mıknatısıya, I didn't add the list. This is about compass, a scientific book, again written by Mutafarrika himself, Ibrahim Mutafarrika. Okay, still you have patience, I think. No one sleeping. Modernity, if we appeal to the statement, Ibrahim Mutafarrika's intellectual industrial ventures, which emerged as a modern publishing institution within the Ottoman Muslim ecosystem, did not bring modernity to Ottoman society. It proves that Ibrahim Mutafarrika was among the men of letters, ministers, and dignitaries. It is written, 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐔𝐌, وكلاء, and rijal. So his position, social state is very high. But his initiation did not reflect much in Ottoman political and social elite, very limited. Modernity is too complex as a concept. A single idea, a product, an attempt cannot encompass all its diversity. There are 2 opposing arguments in people's minds during periods of reform. The first is to align with modernity, and the other is to reject modern attempts, what we observed in my previous presentation. Okay, modernity is very boring. I should pass this one. Okay. But the print capitalism, because Mekan Hocam always mentioned during our lecture series in ISTEC, print capitalism is very dimension or changing process in Europe. Print is not just an artisanship, it is not just authorship, it is not just intellectual work, but it is economy. That's why Benedict Anderson called it, if I'm not wrong, print capitalism means that print creating capital, means that money, means that economy. All the diverse, even just attempt of Ibrahim Mutafarrika, how many artisans he collected. He asked their assistants how much money he paid, how much they earned after selling this 1,300 copies, who became rich, how they bribed, right? Impossible without bribe. So big economy going around this print capitalism. There is no doubt that the printing machine and the process were novelties in Ottoman society. I'm going to finish. On the one hand, some researchers assert that the Ottomans were open to Western developments in previous centuries, but later the process was hindered for social and cultural reasons. I may add religious reason. Social, cultural, and religious regions. We can consider intellectual this point. I think Osman Bakarca will contribute much. However, in the early stage, it was limited only and mostly by military modernization. Why? Because Ottomans became the failure in front of the Russians in the battlefield. Then they start to think what's wrong in our military system. They did not ask, what I perceive throughout my reading and understanding and interpretation, what's wrong in our political system? What's wrong in our social system? No, but the focusing on military battlefield failure, then answer should be given to this area. Means that if we reform, if we innovate, if we emulate French military, Hungarian military, Russian military, then we can be successful. But the tide was not turned back. However, in the early stages, it was limited mostly by the military modernization. And interestingly, a similar period appears in the late 18th century and early 19th century during the reigns of Selim III. Many people know he is another bigger reformist in Ottoman history. And Mahmud II, his son, he shut down the old military unit, Janissaries. But all my Achenist friends like Janissaries. Why they like, I don't know. Because Janissaries already lost their importance in the Ottoman system. On the other hand, others such as Göçek, the writer, state that Ottoman intentionally adopted only limited innovations from the West in previous centuries. The reinitiation of print workshop is observed in the very early years of 19th century. Mahmud II, he closed Janissary, he reformed the bureaucracy, he initiated the first, if I'm not wrong, his or Abdulaziz, the first the state newspaper, like the Dutch did in Batavia early 7th century. Why? Because the bureaucracy is very important to run all the businesses in the state. Without informing your staff, what will the next stage? What's your reform attempt? How the reflection, many things going around the bureaucracy. So this is bureaucratization of Ottoman system started by Mahmud II. The reinitiation of the print workshop is observed in the very early years of 19th century. Not only that, but the names of foreign artisans also drove our attention, and archival documents means that Ottomans invited the foreign experts to work in print houses. This is another innovative way of Ottoman's reform movement. It is also important to note the employers who proved what the industry needed and how it developed through them. So, this is one simple documentary, Füzuyat-ı Mıknatısiye, the benefits of compass. Very important, very technical. He suggested the geographians, the seamen, merchants, traveling in the Mediterranean Sea, Black Sea, Aegean Sea. I don't think so, Indian Ocean. This is black and white, but the ornamental quite classical seems that, which I am not expert, of course. Some other things, Book of History Safavid. I mentioned this one and a few things, I think. Yes, I should mention these names. Not only we started, because it is well-known documents, the collections in the world. 𝐊𝐚𝐬𝐬𝐿, friends of Suryadi Hoca. I communicated with him, but I forgot what to ask him. I think I was going to ask him a very sensitive question, so I intentionally forgot. So Jan 𝐊𝐚𝐬𝐬𝐿, he visited İstek twice, Damansara and the Jalan Duta. His article very complete, half book. I suggest everyone to read some details. Sharife Shifa wrote İstek Illuminated, pictorial tour of the International Institute. You can find some elements about the manuscripts and the Ottoman documents. William Watson, İbrahim Müteferrika and Turkish Inconabila, the initiation. Journal of American Journal of Society. And this one important. Why? When Ahmet Zeki informed me surprisingly about the collection, he also provided one small, I cannot say article, but note for 5 pages, written by someone, Ahmed, or Sayyid Nizamutun Ahmed. I tried to communicate with him because he's coming from Florida Islamic Center something, but I couldn't get any response. Seems that he was in İstek as a fellow, 2010. He accessed the documents before us. I think Ahmet Zeki is not old, right? During that time, someone, and he wrote something, but very aneh, I say. I mean, not complete how he got the ideas. I perceive that he utilized much 𝐊𝐚𝐬𝐬𝐿's paper. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Mehmet Hucham. Before we invite the third speaker, 𝐿𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, just one note on the printing presses in Europe. I've not seen any narrative that says that the Ottomans banned the printing press. There are three presses in the Ottoman period in Istanbul before Mutafarrika. First, the Jewish press, 1490s, and then the Armenian press, 1500, and then the Greek press. They were printing Bibles and other forms of materials, but the Muslims were not accessible to the press. One reason given was the economics. The scribes the copies were powerful in terms of maintaining the economic stability. Similarly, in Cairo, the printing press was banned, diharamkan. Mecca pun early on, yes, it was banned. In fact, we talking about the printing press, we're talking about the Gutenberg press, 1465, the movable printing press, so-called the movable printing press. I mean, the Europeans claim that they were the inventors of the movable printing press, but the Chinese and Koreans also claim that they were the early inventors in about 10 or 11th century AD, movable with regard to the use of their character. But when the printing press was first used, the first thing that was printed was the Bible, 1450s. And at that time when the Bible was printed, the Christians resisted. They said that you cannot have a standardized, because when you talk about the reproduction using printing press, things are the same. When you write, things are different, and there are variations in writing, even scripts, basically. But when you print, it is the same. What you call the font or the typeface. The typeface is the same. So, in the Bible, on the left top of the Bible, going to the old Bible, you have this drop letters, big capital letters. So, in order to gain the confidence of the Christian adherents at that time, the printers print the rest, but handwritten the block capital of the first letter of the Bible, so that this is to convince that this is not the work of the devil, but the work of men. So I think this is very important in terms of the reception and the resistance of the printing press. It's not only a technology, but it concerns belief, attitudes, and so on. So again, that's my point on that score. So thank you very much. Our third speaker is 𝐿 Jumanatun Nailah binti 𝐿 Muhammad Shahrir. Topic is from manuscript to print, 3 generations of Malay Islamic scholarship insights from the Khazanah Fataniyah. She is, you're doing a PhD. Oh, okay. At the Center of Islamic Manuscript Studies, University Islam Sultan Sharif Ali. Where is it coming? Brunei, yeah. Guest Fellow, Institute of Research of Products and Islamic Civilization, UNIZA. Master of Library Information Science, this university. And bachelor's degree in Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences, Usuluddin and Comparative Religions, minor in economics. Expertise, digitization, collection of development of documentation, printing and publications related, management of Malay Jawi old imprints and manuscripts. So with that, yeah. Thank you.
First of all, thank you, Prof. Murad. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, just mentioned just now that I'm IIUM alumni, so returning back to campus bring back many memories. But today it is even more meaningful because I am here representing Khazanah Fataniah, and especially we gathered in the library. About 10 years ago, I want to tell about the screen. Okay, about 10 years ago, Khazanah Fataniah had the privilege of contributing to the gallery located just behind us. Last time they give the name Malay Muslim Intellectuals Gallery. That gallery introduced some of the great scholars of the Malay world together with their biographies and their intellectual contributions. Much of its content was compiled by our founder, was Haji 𝐻𝐿 Abdullah, who dedicated much of his life to documenting the history and works of Malay Muslim scholars. And I want to share a story. Last Monday, while we were setting up the exhibition here, one of international student, IIUM, stopped at our display and began talking about kitab Sheikh Daud Al-Fatani, named Manhajul Safi. And then he told us that he discovered about Manhajul Safi, and after read the Manhajul Safi of Sheikh Daud Al-Fatani, he interested to get more books on Sheikh Daud Al-Fatani. And then I asked him, you read Malay? You can read Malay? And he mentioned that no, but by using the Google Lens and also the translation tools, he tried to read our book. And this is very fascinating for us because someone from outside from Malay world read our Muslim scholars book, Sheikh Daud Al-Fatani. And then after that, he mentioned how he was very impressed about the gallery because introduced about the heritage, the Malay Muslim heritage in this university. And then after that, I remember about one posting Facebook, if you can see, Facebook by one international visitor to this library around 3 years ago. I zoom. When he went, someone from UK or US, he mentioned that he very inspiring saw the gallery because to see one international educational institution in a Muslim majority country celebrating its scholars, their students, and their knowledge outputs. So this about their knowledge output, I think it's very particularly meaningful because what is that knowledge output? This is not only the ideas, this is not only about the teaching, but it is something tangible. It is about the manuscript that our scholars wrote by hand, and it is also about the books were copied by generation of students, and also it is about early printed Jawi books that carry those ideas across the Malay world and beyond. And so this is become the documentary evidence. Without manuscripts, without printed books, how can we tell about our intellectual history like in that gallery? So I will begin my my presentation. Okay, before that, I would like to respect Madam and my lecturers, professors, and fellow friends. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh again. Okay, so my topic is about from manuscript to print, 3 generations of Malay Islamic scholarship and come from our collection Khazanah Fataniah. The story begins about the arrival of Islam in the Malay world. When Islam could come to Malay world, it's not only just introduced about the religion, but it's also introduced about the culture of knowledge, about the culture of reading, the culture of writing, and perhaps importantly, about the culture of preserving knowledge. And one of the greatest developments was about the adaptation of Arabic script into Jawi, which allowing our language, Malay language, become a bahasa ilmiah. Bahasa Jawi become the bahasa ilmiah. By using the Jawi, our scholars start to write on Islamic knowledge like Usuluddin, theology, Islamic law, Sharia, Quranic tafsir, tasawuf, ethics, and so on. So this is about beginning of a remarkable written tradition that would continue for centuries. And then today when we see the manuscript, we see it like something old books, but we must remember that in the past the manuscript is not like we see today. They were living books. Last time they were about textbooks in the pondok school. If Prof. Murad mentioned about the orality, about the use of hikayat, but for my presentation is about the Islamic books that used by pondok, used by a circle who study, means the manuscript is meant to be read and meant to be studied, not just to be as a oral like the hikayat one. So it's about the manuscript were teaching materials in the mosque, were copied by students, carried by travelers, be read, discussed, and passed from one generation to another generation. In other words, manuscript were like in the past time is about like universities. Without manuscript, their knowledge cannot be survived. So my focus is on 3 generations. Before moving to the 3 generations, let me briefly introduce about this illustration. You can read on the exhibition after this. Okay, it's adapted from article by almarhum Haji Wan Muhammad Sorir entitled Manuskrip Islam Dunia Melayu ditinjau dari pelbagai peringkat, where he outlined the development of Malay Islamic scholarship into 10 historical stages from the beginning around abad ke-12 up to abad ke-20 recently. Rather than presenting history as isolated events, he shows that the intellectual tradition of the Malay world continuously over many centuries. We see the coming of Islam, the emergence of Jawi literacy, about the manuscript culture, about the expansion of scholarly networks, about the introduction of printing, and finally the current one about the efforts to preserve the written heritage. And of course, each of these stages deserve a presentation of its own, but I will not attempt to cover all today. I hope after this, if anyone want to read, can go to the exhibition. Okay, I'm going to focus on about manuscript tradition, printing tradition, and then today preservation effort. Okay, so the first one is represent about the age of handwritten manuscript. The second one, transition from manuscript culture to print culture. And the third one about the preservation. Although separated by more than 2 centuries, they all shared the same mission, which is to ensure knowledge would not disappear. Okay, before discussing the first generation that I chose for the Sheikh Daud Al-Fatani, here, let me introduce some manuscript displayed here. This is example from Khazanah Fataniah collection. Okay, you can see that one manuscript here is written by Sheikh Daud himself. The another one is about copy by his student, and another one is another person copy the same manuscript. Okay, let's now begin the first generation Sheikh Daud Al-Fatani. He is widely recognized as one of the greatest scholars of the Malay world. But today I would like us to look beyond his role as an author. Writing a book was never the end of the process. Its book remained in a single manuscript, its benefit would remain limited. Knowledge needed to travel it needed to be reproduced. It needed to reach students in different regions of the Malay world. And for this reason, during the zaman Syekh Daud Al-Fatani, he membentuk satu systematic satu sistem, iaitu menyalin manuskrip, which is copying manuskrip. And according to Haji Muhammad Sarir, Syekh Daud organized a structured network of copyists, and the leader of ketua yang menyalin manuskrip ni ialah Syekh Muhammad 𝐻𝐮 bin Mustafa Al-Fatani. This is around 18th century. And then when they do the copying, this was not random copying. They try to do the something ilmiah to ensure that important works continue to circulate for teaching and learning. So we can call even this is manuscript, and we call it like a publishing system within the manuscript tradition. Okay, next, okay, this one I bring one manuscript. Okay, this is manuscript. In manuscript we call this part is as the colophon. Okay, at the end of the manuscript, we can find colophon, and the colophon is about the final page of a manuscript. Usually in the colophon, records about who copied the manuscript, when it was copied, where it was copied, sometimes why it was copied, the manuscript was copied. So in this example, I want to show how our ulama, when copy the manuscript, they humbly write that he completed manuscript as al-fakir, and then asking Allah to accept the effort. This is then about remind us that writing manuscript is not something mechanical, but writing manuscript as a form of ibadah and serve to the knowledge. That's how Islamic scholarship to our Malay Muslim scholarship. Okay. And then, okay, we go to the next about, okay, this is the important one. Syekh Ahmad Al-Fatani, who took place transformation from manuscript to the printing. Okay, we begin with handwritten manuscript that had been copied for centuries. During the zaman Syekh Ahmad Al-Fatani, sudah ada banyak manuskrip yang dah disalin oleh ulama-ulama. Jadi pada zaman Syekh Ahmad Al-Fatani ini, beliau memikirkan bagaimanakah manuskrip yang disalin ini untuk digunakan, dan pada masa itu terlalu banyak student, lebih banyak pelajar-pelajar yang memerlukan bahan-bahan pengajian, dan beliau fikirkan bagaimana untuk memperbanyakkannya, dan di situlah ketika itu adanya printing. So this is the emergence of early printed books, new printing presses, and scholars working closely with printers. Okay, so before discussing Syekh Ahmad Al-Fatani's contribution, I would like to acknowledge that the two main sources for this presentation. The first one is Syekh Ahmad Al-Fatani, Pemikir Agung Melayu dan Islam, Jilid 2 by Haji Wan Muhammad Sarih Abdullah. And the second one is the book entitled Hadikatul Azhar by Syekh Ahmad Al-Fatani himself. So why I bring these two books? So the first one can talk to us about historical context, and the second one is we can say that apa yang Syekh Ahmad sendiri berkata-kata tentang printing. Okay, how we like the voice of Syekh Ahmad. Okay, before go further, I want to share one testimony about Syekh Ahmad. Comes from not a Malay scholar, come from not Ranji. He shared that while observing scholarly activities in Mecca during the late 19th centuries, Snob wrote that the Ottoman government had entrusted Ahmad bin Muhammad 𝐻𝐮 from Patani with the supervision of the Malay press. He further remarked that this explained why works by Patani scholars were so prominently represented among the Malay book printed in Makkah. Most importantly, he described Syekh Ahmad as a servant of merit, a scholar of distinction, And this observation is significant because it shows that Sheikh Ahmad contribution not already got the attention of other than Malay world, already got the foreign observers. So his role in early Malay printing was visible enough to attract international attention. Okay, this one I bring from the kitab Hadikatul Azhar about Sheikh Ahmad vision on printing. So we can read here. Sheikh Ahmad pergi ke banyak-banyak negara yang maju tentang printing. Lalu beliau tulis dalam Hadikatul Azhar ini dan mengatakan yang negara-negara maju itu meringkah mereka itu pada mengecapkan segala kitab yang boleh keluar beberapa banyak ribu naskah dari dalam masa yang sedikit, sekiranya jikalau ditulis dengan tangan di dalam masa itu nescaya belum lagi sudah satu naskah. Di sini menunjukkan manuscript transmission from manuscript to the printed that come to the mind of Sheikh Ahmad Al-Fatani. And I want to share. Okay. And for that reason, Sheikh Ahmad Al-Fatani actively sought ways to publish Malay Islamic books. His first attempts was in Cairo, where he worked closely with Mustafa Al-Babi Al-Halabi, one of big printing in the Mesir in Cairo. Sheikh Ahmad proposed to print Malay books, but the publisher doubt about the marketing, about who the readers is, about the economics. So cannot justify the cost of the printing. So at the same time, during that time, Sharif Mecca restrict the publication other than Arabic book. So Sheikh Ahmad tried to find ways until he got the patrons or the help from Sultan Osmaniyah. That's a long story. I just make it short. Okay. And then he went from the Ottoman, from the Sultan Abdul Hamid Thani, mainly to publish the Malay books. Okay, next. Okay, here also Sheikh Ahmad Fatani personally, okay, he is supervision for the Malay books in Mecca and Cairo. Okay, so in this book, he shared that he personally supervised the printing of many Malay books in Mecca and Cairo. In this Hadikatul Azhar, he expressed frustration whenever printers fail to reproduce the Jawi script accurately. He in this part, he mentioned about the special character of Jawi script that there is huruf cha, nga, ga, and something and another huruf, and then that need for our books, for Jawi books. And beliau menyatakan kesedihan beliau, menyatakan kekecewaan beliau apabila pengecap Mekah tidak meletakkan titik pada huruf kaf, menjadikan huruf ga. Dan beliau menyatakan di sini, maka sudah beberapa kali perhamba menyatakan bagi orang yang diperintahkan dia pekerjaan mengecap kutub pada Mekah Al-Musharrafah akan demikian itu, dan perhamba menjagakan dia. Means Syekh Ahmad try to monitor, but still maka tiada dihirau ia. Wallahul hadi. So that shows the role of Syekh Ahmad monitoring the printing works. And then one of contribution of Syekh Ahmad, the important contribution is about the tasheh, about that bring the important concept for the 2D. Okay, tasheh, the Arabic word literally means verification or correction. Before the manuscript could be printed, it first had to be carefully examined. We just remember that Syekh Daud, during the zaman Syekh Daud, there are many copies of manuscript. So this is like kerja philology today. they kumpulkan banyak-banyak manuskrip dan cuba berbandingkan dan membuat perbandingan dan membuat pembetulan yang sepatutnya. Okay, different manuscript copies were compared, different between them were identified, and then errors introduced by generation of copies were corrected. Only after this careful scholarly process could a text can be approved to be printing. So we can say like today the proofreading work, the editor correcting the typography and so on. But for the Sheikh Ahmad, Tasawwuf is much more than proofreading. It was about the responsibility of the Musahih to preserve the authentic knowledge for the next generation. Okay, so let me highlight. Okay, this one, I want to, why this is, I say that the contribution Sheikh Ahmad, because Sheikh Ahmad say that he was the first memperkenalkan tasawuf itu. Okay, dan adalah hamba al-fakir ila Allah Ta'ala, sahibu hadzal majmu' telah mendirikan dengan fardu kifayah mentasahihkan kutub Melayu pada matba'ah Al-Miriyah yang di Mekah Al-Mahmiyah daripada sana 1300 hingga masuk kepada tahun 1307, iaitu ini tahun dan dahulu daripada demikian itu perhamba mentasahihkan di negeri Mesir pada matba'ah Miriyah dan lainnya, dan konsep hamba dengan demikian itu menolongkan muslimin yang mengambil manfaat dengan segala kitab itu hingga hari kiamat. Maka hambalah awal mereka yang mentasahihkan kutub Melayu pada matba'ah Mesir dan Mekah. Walhamdulillahirabbil alamin. So this is from our Malay scholars do the contribution for the intellectual heritage. Okay, next, this photograph, this image show that Sheikh Ahmad engaged in the work of Tasheeh, which is, okay, before, now we see the okay. I mentioned that he cuba pemilih naskah. Okay, dan ditasnihkan ini kitab dengan sehabis-habis cermatnya dan dimukabalakan pula dengan naskah yang dengan khat muallif sendirinya. So dia mention macam mana kerja tasnih itu dilakukan dengan membuat comparing dan juga membuat daripada yang primer sources. Kemudian okay, dan ini semua sama juga tentang bagaimana kerja-kerja tasheeh itu dilakukan. Okay, this one, okay. This one is from one kitab that other than tasheeh, there is another word which is tasleh. Tasleh means do the correction. Okay, hamba mukabalahkan pada tasheehnya dengan muhtasar Asy'arani bagi asalnya yang Arabi, iaitu Tazkirah Qurtubiyah, dan hamba taslihkan setengah daripada barang yang zahir padanya tahrif. Means he compare with another work yang already tasheeh, but still there is tahrif, there is still error, so he do the taslih lagi, membetulkan lagi yang naskah tersebut sebelum bawa kepada printing. And okay, so before I conclude, I want to, this one is Terjemahan Mustafid, which is the first tafsir tafsir Melayu di alam Melayu yang dikarang oleh Syekh Abdul Rauf Al-Fansuri, kemudian disambung oleh anak muridnya Baba Daud Arumi. Okay, and okay, this Terjemahan Mustafid, the first complete Quranic commentary in the Malay language. It was written in the 17th century by Syekh Abdul Rauf Al-Fansuri, one of the scholar of Aceh. Like many great works of the Malay world, it first circulated as handwritten manuscript and was copied from one generation to another. The manuscript of Terjemahan was used by Syekh Ahmad Al-Fatani to do the publication. And the Terjemahan was completed by Baba Daud Al-Jawi Al-Ismail, and the direct disciple of Sheikh Sheikh Abdul Rauf Al-Fansuri. And interestingly, okay, this one, this version is printed version that printed in Turkey in Osmaniyah, Tabaan fi Qistantiniya, dengan Inayah Sultan. Kemudian di sini kita boleh lihat adanya lajnah tasheh yang iaitu Syekh Ahmad sendiri. Kemudian di sini adanya Syekh Idris Kalantani dan kemudiannya Syekh Daud bin Ismail Al-Fatani, which is also the family of Baba Daud Ar-Rumi. Okay, so this, okay. Next, so done by second generation. So go to the third generation, which is Syekh Haji Wan Muhammad Sari Abdullah, who is the founder of Khazanah Fataniyah. The story, however, does not end with the printing. A manuscript may be copied, a book may be printed, but both can still disappear if no one preserves them. This brings us to this generation, represented by today, which is Haji Wan Muhammad Sari Abdullah. He devoted almost 5 decades of his life to searching for the intellectual heritage of the Malay world. He traveled extensively throughout the Malay archipelago and the Middle East, visiting villages, pesantren, mosques, in search of manuscript, rare books, letters, maps, records, and historical documents. This journey eventually led to the establishment of Khazanah Fataniyah, which we do have private collection of Malay Islamic documentary heritage. But what makes Wan Muhammad Sari differ from other collector, because he documented his collection, and that we can see after this in the exhibition and also the gallery in the IIUM. So, okay, and then he managed to make long biographies of Malay Muslim scholars. So, okay, if I end about our collection, he mentioned that saya berpendapat bahawa manuskrip dan surat-surat Melayu zaman dulu tak kalah penting dan sangat berguna sebagaimana pentingnya kita mempelajari ilmu pengetahuan pada zaman moden seperti komputer dan teknologi lainnya yang sering dilaung-laungkan oleh pemimpin masa kini. Dari manuskrip dan persuratan Melayu, kita dapat mengetahui sejarah, politik, kebudayaan, kesenian, perkembangan ekonomi, perkembangan sastra dan perubahan bahasa dan lain-lain. Oleh itu, pengumpulan manuskrip dan surat-surat perlu dikemaskini dan ditingkatkan kepada yang lebih sempurna dan penanganan yang lebih moden sesuai dengan perkembangan zaman. Dan dari situ, Wan Muhammad Sari already passed away 2007. So we in Khazanah Fataniyah today try to develop the collection, to manage the collection with many collaboration. Since this is just some of our collaboration, how we preserve and we promote the collection through the pengajian kitab. Dan di sini kita serve scholars or researcher who want the material. And this one is we collaborate with Pusat Cryptology, the latest one, the Pusat Cryptology, because they interested with tulisan Syekh Ahmad Al-Fatani, tulisan yang dicipta oleh Syekh Ahmad Al-Fatani yang mana yang disebut sebagai huruf ciptaan baru, dan di situ ada nilai kod rahsia Melayu. Okay. And then the latest one, we just finished our digitization mission with 𝐷𝐻𝐻𝐿. I think the representative also here. With the 𝐷𝐻𝐻𝐿, we just digitized 300 manuscripts within 30 days. And then last 3 years, we got melalui seorang pensyarah UIA juga, Dr. Afendi, kami dapat grant untuk melakukan kerja-kerja katalog bagi koleksi 𝐷𝐻𝐿 di Khazanah Fataniyah. And insyaAllah later after this we sambung digitization dengan 𝐿𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿 Inspire untuk digitize manuscript. Okay, I think, okay. Just now, I just add this slide. Just now, Prof. Murad shared about the Singapore matba'ah so on. So here I show about the bookshop catalog published in Singapore. Then if we see here, mention that okay, apa yang item yang dijual, dia tulis cap Mekah, Mesir, Istanbul, Bombay, Batawi, Singapura dan lain-lain. Dan ini katalog pada tahun 1914. Dan juga yang ini pula pada tahun 1931 juga mention yang apa buku-buku yang dijual, iaitu Istanbul, Mesir, Mekah, Bombay, Singapura, Penang, also Muar, Johor. Muar, Johor. Yeah, we do have Muar, Johor. So we can end next here. This part in the catalog can show the mechanical ataupun technical yang berkaitan dengan percetakan, di mana servis yang mereka lakukan. Sedia saya menerima sebarang pekerjaan cap kitab-kitab hikayat, syair, surat-surat jemputan. Bila bil sewa rumah, bil sewa tanah, resit menerima wang, menerima barang-barang, resit hutang, tiket, kad jemputan, kad selamat hari raya, surat. Dan ini semua pada tahun 1914. Dan juga di sini juga ada surat-surat yang dicap daripada bahasa dan huruf Arab, Melayu, Jawa, Inggeris, dan ni sama ada dicap dengan huruf timah atau dicap batu. Cap batu ialah lithograph, while cap timah is letterpress. And even okay. So, and this one, they about the import and export, about the commercial of books. So this is nama-nama wakil negeri asing boleh dapat beli buku kepadanya. So mention about Negeri Sembilan, Sumatera, Aceh, Perak, Aceh, Lampung, Borneo, Muar, Penang, Palembang, Terengganu, Kelantan, Kajang, Asahan dan Langkat. So this is open to be studied. Okay, and to end the discussion, my presentation, I share Syekh Ahmad when he wrote Hadikatul Azhar. Beliau mendatangkan, dia ada passage, macam ada narrative passage, kemudian beliau meletakkan syair ataupun kata-kata hikmah untuk menguatkan hujah beliau. Okay, this one syair Arab. Amrul dunyal fata idza lam yufidhu naf'u ukhra la syakka hasrun wa dhairu. Aish bikasbin hawin li khairaini tahna marrataini baqiyatullahi khair. So maksudnya urusan dunia wahai pemuda, jika tidak memberinya faedah di akhirat, jelas adalah kerugian dan kemudaratan. Hiduplah kamu dengan meraih keuntungan 2 kali, nescaya engkau akan beruntung. Sesungguhnya apa yang kekal di sisi Allah itulah yang terbaik. Syair ini beliau letakkan ketika beliau menjelaskan yang diri beliau menjalankan fardu kifayah untuk kerja-kerja pentasihan kitab. Dan terakhir satu lagi syair. Okey, ya khaidan fi ardi habrin fadili hal kaddara al-bahra al-mumawwaja khaidu wa idza 'ala al-unkudu amman ramahu qalat rukuhu inna hadha hamidu Wahai orang yang mencela seorang ilmuwan yang terhormat, adakah kamu fikir laut dan yang akan tercemar oleh sesiapa yang mencemburinya? Tatkala gugusan anggur terasa tinggi bagi orang yang mahu mengambilnya, lalu dia berkata, tinggalkan saja kerana ia adalah masam, tidak enak dimakan. Jadi sekian saja daripada saya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Wan Jumaatun for the enlightenment. Adab penerbitan, adab penerbitan tafsir dan taslih dan sebagainya dalam konteks bahasa Jawi dan wilayah geografi di sini. Dan we can see that the Malay archipelago is cosmopolitan, and I invite anybody who wants to study masters or PhD to look into this empirical example of the consciousness and the culture of Malay publishing. When we're talking about Malay publishing, it's not just publishing; it's a specific culture, a specific adab, as we have seen just now. Thank you. Kita ada lebih kurang until 12:15 for interactions, comments and questions. Jadi saya tak, I don't know how penganjur macam mana nak ya tak kursi ya. Okay. Yeah. Okay, jadi kita we have until 12 suku atau 12:30 lah lebih kurang tu. Jadi ini saya jemput comments, questions, ya, silakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dalia from Islamic Art Museum, Malaysia, curatorial department. I would like to ask, actually, I have something in common that I'm interested in research, which is the miniature Quran. So the miniature Quran has been known in the Ottoman for the sanjak. Actually, they use it as a talismanic. So I would like to know if in the Ottoman time, they have reached to print any examples of this miniature Quran? And maybe in Leiden University or Leiden Library, do they have any such of this miniature Quran? And for Khazana Fatania, if there is anything like interaction between the Ottoman or like bilingual manuscript between the Ottoman and Malay world. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone can answer?
Sorry, what type of Quran you mentioned?
Miniature Quran.
Miniature Quran.
Miniature.
Yeah, I think, thank you for the question. I saw some miniature Quran, yeah, in Leiden, preserved in Leiden Museum Library. But actually, I'm not expert about this, yeah. Maybe Annabel Gallup or Ali Akbar from Jakarta nowadays. But when Ali Akbar visit the Leiden Museum Library, I saw he wrote a very small Quran. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm not expert about this, but I believe there are some miniature Quran preserved in Leiden Museum Library. Yeah.
To me, I do not have any information about this particular area. But when you say printing, right? Yeah. Yeah. But again, it's a problematic maybe if something printed must be the end of 19th century or early 20th century.
Yes. Okay. Soalan tentang okay, manuskrip Ottoman. Kalau di Khazanah Fataniyah yang dapat kita detect, kita dapat kesan ialah kitab-kitab cetakan. Di antaranya Sabilul Muhtadin, syair Syekh Banjari, yang di mana di dalamnya ada ditasrihkan oleh Syekh Ahmad Al-Fatani. Kemudian kitab Minhajul Abidin, iaitu Syekh Al-Fatani, juga ditasrihkan oleh Lajnah Tasrih Syekh Ahmad Al-Fatani. Dan yang kami pamerkan sekarang ialah Turjuman Mustafid, printed in 1884. But we have another one, dua jilid yang different jilid, also in Constantinople. But we only have the cetakan about the manuscript. Kita tak dapat nak kesan. Is it? Yeah, in Jawi. So far in Jawi. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Assalamualaikum. Hello. Boleh dengar macam low volume. Okay. First of all, interesting that you mentioned about the miniature Quran, yeah. Because there was a time when I used to travel a lot on the road, and I was mixing with some esoteric circles, including in like traditional medicine and silat and all that. And that time, I used to come across this small Quran. They call it Quran Istanbul. Yeah. I even found it in some of the old tombs. But no, I haven't seen it for a long time. So you mentioned it brought some old memories. So I don't know what happened, but it was quite common among esoteric practitioners, people who practice in batin and that sort of thing. I don't know what, so like you mentioned, it's for talisman. So now leading to my question to Dr. Suredi, yeah, because do you know Pondok Salah Anak Ayam in Patani, for example? There's a Muslim Quran there. Okay, they have a quite huge collection of manuscripts. I've seen, I haven't actually read it, but the title is something like how to make gold, and even how to control winds. So this sort of esoteric materials, I'm wondering, do you have it in Leiden, and did you study it? Yeah. And then okay, the Prof. Muhammad, Dr. Muhammad, although I think it's probably a repeat question because I was waiting for you to mention anything about Malay, but there's nothing there. But you know, what is, because in Aceh, you have the story of Meriam Cupak, Ladus Cupak, right? Which is very well documented in Aceh. But I'm wondering, is it documented in Ottoman archive? Yeah. Okay, and then lastly to one, can you mention a bit more about what happened, the interaction in Turkey? How did Sheikh Ahmad manage to access the Sultan? Okay. That's all.
Oh yeah. Yeah, as I show in my one of my slide, the content of Malay manuscript is very diverse, yeah, banyak macam, yeah. One time I also found a manuscript that describe how to persuade women, for example. Yeah. Also, they note of culinaire. Yeah. For example, macam-macam makanan, cara membuat makanan. So there are many various contents of the manuscript. Yeah. Malay magic. Yeah. For example, one of the important manuscript from Java about primbon, right? Primbon is very popular in Java. What is it in English, Prof. Murad? Primbon. Content magic. Yeah, perspective on when when the good time you go, you do something. Yeah, what the meaning if a black cat pass you, if you walk somewhere, or an ular, a snake. Yeah, this primbon, that definition. Yeah, definition. Yeah. Another contents like the name of many animals, yeah, in Sumatra, for example. So there are many, but definition is part of the content of our manuscript, I think. Yeah, both from here or from other part of Indonesia. Because I think before Islam came here, arrived here, the people believe on that. Yeah, and through this kind of manuscript, we can also see how do you say it, Prof. Murad? I don't know the anthropological term about that, where during Islam here, the aspect of Hinduism still practiced, right? Yeah, incorporation of both belief. Yeah, syncretism. Sorry, yeah, this is the good word. Yeah, so aspect of syncretism is very visible in many manuscript contents. Yeah.
This aspect is not only in manuscripts, but also in modern forms of writing. In Jamras, for example, from 1887 until now, Jamras is a collection of oral history. All the wajah jin pun ada disebut dalam Jamras. Jin pakai serban, color apa dan sebagainya. It was mentioned in 1887 Jamras. So all these things are there, brought over.
Okay, thank you very much. I always enjoy to answer to your questions. Number one, all the documents preserved in Ottoman archives sent by the Malay polities, starting from Aceh. These documents officially compiled by Ahmed Feridun, who was for a while Grand Vizier during the Kanun Sultan Süleyman. He retired if I'm not wrong, 80s. He wrote his memoir and collecting all the documents, 1583. There are 2 letters from Aceh. This is the earliest document. That's all. Plus, I mean, in compiled format. There are other letters which mention in mühimme defterleri, means that important records, classified. We can find today is both Ottoman Turkish and contemporary Turkish Latinized. Again, these are the responding to the demands, a request, cooperation, collaboration by the Acehnese, and later on in 19th century from 𝐷𝐻, one letter, hocam knows, 𝐉𝐻𝐻𝐽𝐿, Jambi, again Aceh, 3 times. Hopefully we will publish by the help of all our colleagues in ISTEC. Very nice documents, but no, I have not compiled, but some people did without considering social, cultural, intellectual dimensions of Malay context. They are Ottoman Turkish-oriented people or contemporary Turkish-oriented people. This is half story. The other half story, how, who, when, why. The questions coming from Malay world, not answered by the Turkish, I'm sorry, academic environment. When we come to publication process of Ibrahim Mutafarrika, he selected carefully the books. Number 1, very important. Number 2, popular. Number 3, might be contributed to the modernization of Ottoman society, like the benefits of compass, like the 𝐠₂ geography. It includes very important maps, including, I'm very sorry, there are many data, I excluded many things. I should have inputted some few maps into my presentation, including island by island, Sumatra, Java, the Malay archipelago, India, Indian Ocean. So this is interesting. How come Ibrahim Mutafarrika, of course, before him, Katip Çelebi, reached these maps? Of course, the name of the islands, the name of the city is written in Ottoman Turkish. But this is 1727, started until 1745. But in 19th century, correspondences between Aceh and Ottomans, Jambi and Ottomans, Riau and Ottomans, Ottoman's bureaucracy, we easily scan or the trace in the documentation, they are not aware where this location. In the one document I come across, it is said that it is opposite to Africa continent. The location, the intellectual dimensions, the political orientation, quite weak in that particular correspondence in the 19th century. What I say, there was no continuity of these correspondences, starting from Aceh. Aceh is always pushing the Ottoman authorities to come here, to the world of the theater of Indian Ocean. Not only just Cannon. Cannon is a very smallest portion of this communication. The beyond it, because the Indian Ocean attracting everyone. Portuguese, Dutch, British, French, even Danish and Swedish came here. For what reason? Economic reason. But Ottomans, they failed to understand the changing momentum in the world history. It's very obvious in my understanding. So we should revisit again this Malay letters, starting from Aceh until Jambi. Inshallah, we will cooperate with Jambi friends over there, Jambi Sultan Taha, University of Sultan Taha. They say they have their own archives. So we will combine all this and see the bigger picture. Maybe partially I can answer your previous question. One side the Ottoman Turkish, the other side the Malay, the bilingual. No. I wish to say something adding to this. There is no any significant in my own preliminary research. In Naima, I mentioned 6 volumes. Tarihi Rashid, very important. Tarihi Cevdet in 19th century. We could not see any Malay context, neither Aceh nor Malacca. Malacca people very proud of Ottoman connection, but I couldn't see any documents in Ottoman archive. So imagination, yes, good. But the social, politics, economic, there is no any dimensional relationships. So I think there's 3. If I repeat, Ahmet Feridun compilation, Münşaat, very important. Münşaat Feridun, the name. The second one, Naima, Tarihi, Cevdet, Tarihi Rashid, all these historical writings, some of them published by Ibrahim Mutafarrika. and the mühimme defterleri. If we see all these three in one dimension, of course, plus al-Jawaib and Basiret newspapers, because Aceh is again rich during that time, 1850. Of course, there was no any newspaper, private newspapers, commercial newspapers, but 1873 Basiret and al-Jawaib, to some extent promoting the Malay world throughout the letters and the oral information by Habib Abdurrahman al-Zahir in Istanbul. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, just yeah. Again, I excluded the portion of the late 19th century connection between, to some extent, Ottomans and the Malay world. Abdulhamid II appointed Ahmed al-Fatani as the director, quote-unquote, director of the Malay print process. But how it happened, I'm not sure, but we can guess again, unless a significant recommendation from the governor of Jeddah. Number one, he was appointed, of course, from the central government of Istanbul by Sultan himself. Number two, Sharif of Mecca. So these are two important figures. By their recommendations, I guess, Ahmed al-Fatani reached Istanbul, at least by sending letters or oral information. Of course, the authorities wrote letters, and Abdulhamid appointed him. But the problem, when I search again in my own capacity in Istanbul, rare manuscript collections under the rule of Istanbul University, I couldn't find any single documents. In catalog, I found Abdurrahman Eskili's, even the name was written not by K, not P. I informed the librarian, but the physical copy I couldn't see. Someone put in catalog, probably existed, but lost, or the librarian did not give me for any reasons. I couldn't find out. Recently, 2-3 years back, one of, I think, staff of a public library, someone, his name is Osman Nuri. He reached us, I think the sister as well, our friends in Aceh. He found out incidentally or unexpectedly the copy of this tafsir of Eskili. I didn't see because I was over. I have been over here since then. But he is promoting this Malay manuscript, talking with some different people. One single copy, by incidentally he found out. If Ottomans, if Abdulhamid II ordered to publish Malay world books, where are they? In Istanbul libraries? They sent to be as marketing in Malay world. Yes, I mean, Ali, the Quran study, Ali Akbar. There are two Ali Akbars, I heard. The one who studied Quran from Istanbul or Ottomans, it is quite famous. It was the result of Ottoman pan-Islamic policies. They couldn't send military, they couldn't send their envoys politically engaging with the powers over here, but at least soft power, they provided Qurans, means that we are with you. So this is symbolic cooperation. I mean, of course, the Malay people know Quran in the last 1,000 years. They didn't need the Quran, but this is different perspective. Thank you very much.
Maybe I can add something, yeah, about the Meriam Secupa and other, yeah. I'm now appointed as the Ministry of Culture of Republic Indonesia as the team member of the repatriation of Indonesian, yeah, in Netherlands. In Museum Brownback, they have, according to one document written by Dutch military when they occupied Aceh, they brought to Netherlands 54 Meriam cannon from Aceh Palace, yeah. But until now, if you search the catalog of Brownback Museum, military museum in Brownback, they only show 14. So we are in a negotiation to bring back the cannon to Indonesia. But imagine that they mentioned that 54 Miriam or Canaan from Aceh, they loot and brought to Netherlands. Yeah. So I think they are in the storage, they still keep silently because now the time is changing. Many apa itu negara Eropa sedikit malu ya sekarang with the behavior of the ancestor, so they try to send back the heritage. But I think kalau dikirim semua, the museum will be empty. I think so. That's why they also keep silence, merahasiakan some of the collection. Yeah. Oh, one in Pulau Pinang. Yeah, very interesting because I don't know why one of them keep in Pulau Pinang.
Went to Aceh to help out and suggesting something.
Okay.
So wait a minute, I might not get that right, but actually it was a present from Aceh to Selangor, and then British took it and put it for Cornwallis. I can't remember the actual story.
Yeah.
Sri Rambai, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think the canon also not sent first to Batavia, but I think direct from Aceh to Netherlands. Yeah. So maybe some of them transit in Pulau Pinang, in somewhere else. Yeah, in Semenanjung.
Port Cornwallis, it's facing the Padang Kota on that side. So okay. Yeah, if you empty the Leiden Library, that's it. When you bring back everything, the Leiden Library will be empty. Okay? All right. Yeah, one quick comment. Yeah, just
okay.
Last one.
That's fine.
Yeah?
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay.
My name is Hussein. I'm from London, and I've come to Malaysia to do my PhD. And during this time, I've had the opportunity to learn about the Malay scholars. But today I've learned about this beautiful relationship between the Ottoman and the Malay world, which I didn't know before. And for example, Sheikh Dawood Al-Fatani was teaching in Masjid Al-Haram under Ottoman rule. And because of that, hundreds of Malay scholars were produced. And today I've learned about Sheikh Ahmed Al-Fatani, who sought assistance from the Ottomans because the Sharif of Mecca was not as supportive. So my just comment is, I hope that this rich history between the Turks and the Malays continue for the whole Ummah to benefit. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what we're doing. I think ISTAC has been trying to establish a center for Ottoman Malay studies. Slowly, we're trying to revive that initiative. Yeah. Online. Yeah. How many questions? One.
Only one question from online participant to Dr. Mehmet Oze. Is Naima volumes available in Semena Library? If it is available, is it in Ottoman Turkish or translated into English?
Both. Number one, there is Süleymaniye Kütüphanesi, a very prime library in terms of Ottoman manuscripts and the printed works. If you register free, some documents, images appear on the screen, you can study on it. The other versions or the copies, you must be in Istanbul. Number two, Naima, famous, as I told you, everybody knows, 6 volumes available, online, Latin. So it's up to your linguistic capability and capacity. You may reach Ottoman Turkish, Jawi Turkish, we can say probably, and the Latin version. Currently, because of, I think, during the COVID time, the libraries became very generous. They feel pity for us, researchers and academics. I benefited much since then, alhamdulillah. Now, every day I access to these two sources. I mean, Süleymaniye Library, Ottoman Archive Library, the documents free or just only to me. I'm not sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all. We thank our three speakers, Wan Manatun, Muhammad Oze, and Dr. Suradi. We have given a very enlightening picture of the process and cultural interactions between the Ottoman world and Malay manuscript and printing. I'll pass to the organizer for the closing remarks.
Okay, thank you, Professor Ahmad Marikan, for expertly moderating today's lecture session. We would like also to express our heartfelt appreciation to our distinguished speakers, Associate Professor Dr. Mehmet Oze, Ms. Wan Jumanatun Nailiyah, Wan Muhammad Syahrir, and Dr. Suryadi for sharing their invaluable knowledge, expertise, and scholarly insight. Your enlightening presentations and thought-provoking discussions have greatly enriched our understanding of the intellectual heritage and manuscript traditions of the Muslim and Malay worlds. Ladies and gentlemen, as a token of our appreciation, we would now like to invite Madam Nur Hashimah Mustafa, our Chief Librarian of Dar Al-Hikmah Library, to present tokens of appreciation to our distinguished speakers and moderator. May I first invite Dr. Suryadi to receive the token of appreciation. Next, may I invite Associate Professor Dr. Mehmet Oze to receive the token of appreciation. May I now invite Ms. Wan Jumanatun Nailiyah, Wan Muhammad Syahrir to receive the token of appreciation. Finally, may I invite Professor Ahmad Murad Marikan, our moderator, to receive the token of appreciation. Thank you, Madam. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving them another warm round of applause. On behalf of Dar Al-Hikmah Library, we would also like to express our sincere gratitude to our collaborators, organizing committee, and all participants for your invaluable presence, support, and contribution to the success of this program. We hope today's manuscript lecture has inspired continued interest in the preservation, appreciation, and the study of the rich intellectual and manuscript heritage of the Muslim and Malay world. We also would like to welcome suggestion or any improvement for future exhibition or forums that you want us, the library management from Dar Al-Hikmah Library or East Library to organize in the future. Maybe all the suggestion can be channeled to the library management or also the team of organizing committee. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude today's program, we would like to invite our all guests to visit the manuscript and rare book exhibition located on the right side of this lounge. We hope you will take this opportunity to explore these remarkable collections and engage with the exhibition team. Before we adjourn, you may gambar. Okay. Okay. Before we adjourn, we may have a photography session, group photography session in this lounge. With that, we conclude today's program. Thank you, everyone. And wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. You may scan the QR code for our memories capture for today's occasion. Thank you. Thank you.